she says, because she's crazy.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm showing you what has been marked as state's proposed 285, 286, and 287, and then one that's been admitted as 288.
Okay.
And I'm going to flip through these and just ask you if you I'll flip through all of them.
Okay.
Do
Yeah.
you recognize the individuals in those photos?
Yes.
State moves to admit 285 to 287.
Any objection to 285 to 287?
None whatsoever.
All right, those be admitted.
I'm going to put what's been admitted as 285 on the overhead. Who are those individuals in that photo?
Sharon and Tommy?
Okay, you weren't there though when that happened,
No.
and this is 286. Appears to be another photo from that day.
Sharon and Tommy?
Yep. This is 287.
Yep. Sharon and Tommy?
And what's been already previously admitted as 288.
And Sharon and Colleen?
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Morning, ma'am. You and I have never spoken, as far as you know, right?
No.
Okay. I'm one of Tommy's lawyers. I just have a few questions to ask you about what you just talked about in direct examination, okay?
Okay.
I can sense, and I certainly understand that you loved Sharon very much, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
You were friends with her for several years?
Just a few years.
Okay, and you talked to her a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I mean, probably goes without saying, but probably broke your heart when she died, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I want you to know I am terribly sorry for your loss. And I'm terribly sorry that Mike Miller killed your friend. Okay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I have a few questions about some of the things you talked about. You had spent some time with Sharon and Tommy together, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you keep saying, mm-hmm. It seems silly because I know exactly what you mean, but Victoria over here is going to be typing everything down
Yeah.
at some point.
Yes.
So the best you can, actually say yes rather
Yes.
than uh-huh or uh-huh.
Yes. Okay.
And then the only other thing I'm going to tell you is you got to wait till I'm done before you talk. And I'll do my best to wait till you're done before I talk because she can't get us talking over each other. Okay?
Okay.
I know it's different than talking in real life. When Sharon talked about him, she referred to him as Tommy, right?
Yes.
And you knew him as Tommy, correct?
Yes.
Everybody that talked about him referred to him as Tommy, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when you say Mr. Randolph or something like on direct examination, that's not how you referred to him back in 2008, right?
No.
Okay. Sharon liked to go out to eat, yes?
Yes.
And she went out to eat with Tommy, right?
Yes.
She liked to go to the movies, right?
Yes.
And she did that with Tommy, right?
Yes.
She liked to go out and see live music, concerts, right?
Yes.
And she did that with Tommy, right?
Yes.
When they started dating, she actually asked you, do you believe in love at first sight, right?
Yes.
Okay. Indicating to you that she felt she had fallen in love with Tommy at first sight, right?
Yes.
Okay. And they appeared to have a very good relationship at first, right?
Yes.
Okay.
At first.
There were times when Sharon was upset because Tommy had been seeing someone else, right?
Yes.
You were aware that he had always made that known to Sharon, right?
Yes.
Like he didn't hide that fact, correct?
No.
He talked to Sharon about it and Sharon talked to you about it, right?
Yes.
Did you ever talk to Tommy about it?
No.
Okay. You were invited into the Randolph home for dinner, right?
Yes.
And you ate with Sharon and Tommy, correct?
Yes.
And at least on one of those occasions, Mike Miller was there, correct?
Yes.
You mentioned your son on direct examination. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. You had a son that was in his adolescent teenage years at the time, right?
Yes.
And you had some concerns that he would be getting into some trouble, didn't you?
Yes.
And you actually asked Tommy and Mike to talk to him about that, right?
Yes.
And they did that for you, correct?
Well, somehow the conversation came up. I don't know exactly. I just know that they were talking to him and I didn't mind it. I didn't deliberately, I'm sure I didn't say, hey, can you just talk to him about this? Somehow it came up.
Okay. And bring it back to my question. You had indicated a moment ago that you actually talked to Tommy and Mike about speaking to your son, right?
I didn't talk to them to tell them to talk to him. Somehow the conversation came up, and when they were talking, I didn't mind.
Okay. Tommy was involved in that conversation, yes?
Yes.
And that was a conversation involving you, your son, about him staying out of trouble, right?
Yes.
And you were appreciative of that at the time, right?
Yes.
Okay. You indicated that you talked to Sharon the day that she died. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. When you talked to her, you actually became aware of her plans for that evening. The state asked you about that, right?
Yes.
You knew that her and Tommy were going to a dinner and a movie, right?
Yes.
And you knew that was going to happen sometime around 6 p.m., correct?
Well, I don't know what time, but yes, they were going out.
She talked to you about what they were going to do that night, right?
Yes.
And she actually talked to you about what had happened earlier that day, right?
I guess what happened earlier that day.
Yeah, like for instance, you knew that Tommy had been to the bank, right?
Yes.
And that he had withdrawn a large amount of money from one bank, right?
Yes.
And that he was going to put that in another bank, right?
Objection, hearsay.
It has to do with the existing state of mind of the person she was talking to on the telephone about their plans for that day and where he was at the time.
Objection, hearsay, and foundation.
All right, well, that'll be overruled. She can testify about Sharon's state of mind.
You were talking to Sharon on the phone, right? Yes?
Yes.
She told you where they were going that night, correct?
Yes.
She also told you that Tommy was going to come pick her up and that he was out running errands with Mike, correct?
Yes.
And that he had in his possession a large amount of cash, right?
Yes.
That he intended to put in the bank, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sharon knew all that, right?
Yes. He
And
was
she-
either withdrawing or putting it in. I just know they were going to the bank.
Okay. You remember you talked to a detective by the name of Dino Kelly on the 13th of May of 2008. You remember that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
And you know that statement was recorded, correct?
Yes.
And you've had an opportunity to read that, right?
Yes.
You had a good opportunity to read that. You know, you told Dino Kelly back in May of 2008 that he was going to put a large amount of money in the bank, right?
Yes.
Because Sharon had told you that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And just to be clear, you knew that Tommy was with Michael that day before they were going to dinner, right?
Yes.
You said that Sharon told you in a phone call that she was out shopping for urns with Tommy, right?
Yes.
And you thought that was weird, right?
Yes.
You'd agree with me when Sharon told that to you, Sharon didn't think that was weird, correct?
Nope.
She thought that was just something that she was doing, right?
Yep.
And she did a lot of things in her life that maybe you wouldn't do. Agreed?
Yeah. I
Okay.
suppose so.
She's a different person than you, right?
Mhm.
Yes?
Yes.
So the fact that she may think something is appropriate to do, whether or not you think it's appropriate really doesn't matter, does it?
No, but I'm her friend, so I'm allowed to tell her, I don't think someone should be planning her death when she's supposed to be in love.
Right. Because to you, that's unconventional or different or weird, right?
Yes.
And she didn't think it was, did she?
No.
Okay. In fact, it was her idea, wasn't it?
I don't know about that.
Okay. Just to be clear, Sharon never told you, hey, Tommy's making me pick out an urn. I don't want to do this, right?
No, she didn't say that.
Okay. Sharon didn't have any problem telling you things that she thought were off or weird or something going on in her mind, how she felt, right?
Say that again?
Did Sharon have any problem telling you when something was going on in her mind?
No.
Did she tell you how she was feeling?
Yes.
Okay. You said you talked to Sharon on the phone daily, right?
Yes.
Sometimes several times a day, right?
Yes.
And you actually knew what kind of phone service she had at her residence, didn't you?
Yes.
It was a company called Vonage. You remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
Yes. And sometimes when you talk to Sharon on the phone, the call would just drop, right?
Yes.
And that happened several times, correct?
Yes.
That was a thing that you knew from talking to her, that the phone, the Vonage service at her house would often go out, right?
Yes.
And when it went out for a period of time, you couldn't connect with her, right?
Well, we would get on, she'd call me on her cell phone.
Right. When the Vonage service went out, you sometimes would try to call her back, right?
Yes.
And you couldn't get her, right?
Right.
Because the Vonage service was out, correct?
Yes.
And so then to communicate, you would have to transfer to a cell phone, right?
Yes.
And that was a relatively normal thing in your relationship with Sharon, correct?
Yes, but I would try not to call her on that. I would only call her on there if I'd call her phone and she didn't answer the cell phone. And if I really wanted to talk to her, I'd
So-
call the home phone.
So is it your testimony that the majority of your calls were on the cell phone
Yes.
because the Vonage service was that unreliable?
Yes.
We're going to squeeze in a quick break and we'll get you back inside of that courtroom in just a moment.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, an in-depth look at people accused of plotting to kill their spouses. Lindsay Shiver, California Judge Jeffrey Ferguson, and more. We'll bring in experts to weigh in on these cases of romance turned deadly. Plus, on the docket, a father and son accused of shooting at a FedEx driver are set to stand trial for attempted murder. We'll bring you the details before this trial gets underway.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
There's gonna be trouble. Let's have it. Keep your eye open. Pull that trigger. Pull that trigger. I'll find you and I'll kill you. Now all I need is a fresh horse, a saddle, and a gun. Let the game begin.
Ooh, that sounds wonderful.
Now, you talking like you got some sense.
Let's get some order now, okay?
Line it up, baby.
Sorry I'm late. Looking this good doesn't happen by accident.
There are people like us who want to reach out to you and send you that love.
Hey, family!
You got to get my dance on.
I'm going back to this show. Isn't this just fabulous?
The fastest gun in the West
That's right.
is a magnet for trouble.
Why'd you have to show up?
Rory Calhoun is the Texan.
Scared?
Every Thursday night on Grid Extra.
Together.
Juntos.
Together.
We stand up to cancer.
On Saturday, August 19th, join Stand Up to Cancer for all the inspiration.
Together, we can stand up for our family and friends and everyone who is battling this disease.
Celebrating all the progress and innovation.
So just stand up with us.
One night to save lives. Join the millions in the fight against cancer.
Stand Up to Cancer, Saturday, August 19th at 8/7 Central on Scripps News.
Free Movie Channel has something for everyone. With no subscription or rental fees, Free Movie Channel is the quick and easy choice for first-run films as well as classic movies. Check out Free Movie Channel today and find your new favorite movie.
The WNBA is on Ion. Wow. Every Friday, the push to the playoffs continues.
I can't see nobody stopping me.
This week, Kalia leads the Sky into ATL. in a must-win against Ryan and the Dream. Then we're off to Phoenix as the Mercury take on Brianna and the Liberty. Sky Dream, followed by Liberty Mercury. Coverage starts Friday night at 7:30. Check local listings for games in your area. Only on ION.
This is Scripps News,
Welcome to Morning Rush. We have a lot to get to this morning.
a 24-hour news channel streaming everywhere, totally free.
Don't forget to hit up scriptsnews.com for even more ways to watch.
Want to see more? Grab the app on your favorite streaming platform or go to scriptsnews.com to find every way to watch.
Now, an investigation you'll only see here on Scripps News.
Find the news you've been looking for.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Go to scriptsnews.com now and start watching today.
Jodi Arias, the obsessed ex-girlfriend accused of brutally killing her former boyfriend.
You're the one that did this, right?
Yes.
Was it jealous rage or self-defense?
Travis flipped out.
The high-profile trial that had a little bit of everything. You have feelings for the defendant, right? I beg your pardon, sir.
Relive the case that captivated the nation.
And made the name Jodi Arias unforgettable.
The trial of Jodi Arias. Weekdays 8 to noon on Court TV Legendary Trials.
Welcome back. We're bringing you testimony this afternoon in the murder trial for Thomas Randolph in Nevada. Randolph is accused of murdering his wife and the man he allegedly hired to kill her. This is a retrial, and first time around, he was convicted and sentenced to death for the murders, but that was overturned by the state's high court. On the stand right now is Antoinette Dean. She's a friend of the victims and has talked a lot about some strange things she saw in this marriage. Let's get you back into court for a redirect.
Would have called Sharon on average on the Vonage line.
Like I said, if I couldn't get a hold of her on her cell, or I guess if I knew she was home, sometimes I'd call the home, but most of the time I called the cell phone.
Okay. And on those times, how many, I guess what I'm asking is over a month's period of time, how many times do you remember the Vonage dropping out or having a problem?
Yeah, it would have problems, but I mean, it wasn't every single time we talked. So yes, it did have problems sometimes.
Okay. Sometimes meaning like once a week or once a month, or what would you say?
I guess once, I don't know, once or twice a month. I don't know, something
Okay.
like that.
And then you would just call on a different line or call back? Or...
Yeah.
So Mr. Tomchak asked you about this shopping trip to buy urns.
Yeah.
Had Sharon ever done that with the mutual friend that you guys had that she was dating? Was there some effort to buy
No.
urns or make funeral plans?
No, and she didn't really talk about, she was pretty healthy other than her arm, so she didn't really have a problem worrying about, not being alive for too long, so no, it wasn't something we talked about until then.
Okay. Mr. Tomchak asked you about these errands that Mr. Randolph was running with Mike Miller on the day of Sharon's death. Do you recall those questions?
Yes.
And based on what Sharon was telling you, your understanding is they were going to a bank and that sort of thing?
Yes.
Do you remember if she had concerns about that?
No, I guess not.
Do you remember what you told the police her comment was about him withdrawing this money?
No, I don't.
Would looking at your interview from that year refresh your memory?
Yes.
This is page 9, counsel, of the voluntary.
I could just get you to read this. Here's right here.
And what was the question?
I'll ask you a question. One
Oh,
second,
okay.
just let me know when you're done.
Okay, yeah.
Having looked at your interview, which was on May the 13th of 2008, does that refresh your recollection as to whether or not she was concerned about this money being withdrawn?
Yes, yeah. She didn't know what he was doing with it.
And she was concerned he was going to leave her again?
Yes.
You told the police that back in 08?
Yes, that is right. Yes.
There was discussion about all the activities that Mr. Randolph and Sharon engaged in. Do you have any sense of when those activities took place in their relationship? Like, was it at the beginning, the whole time, in the middle? How would you describe it?
I suppose most of it was in the beginning, because towards the end, he was always in so much pain and he just laid around, slept most of the time.
Did it seem to you like the relationship was happy and functioning properly at the end?
If you could even bring up that one picture, they both look pretty miserable. Then that was, that was one of their wedding days. I don't know which one it was, but yeah, no, they weren't happy.
Okay, and in May of 08, was Sharon indicating she was really happy in the marriage and everything was going great?
No, she was happy that day, that night that they were going out, but no, she wasn't happy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Last witness, Jim.
Did you pick which photos the state was going to show you?
No.
They did, right?
Yes.
Okay. You ever looked at a photo of yourself later and looked at your face and said, "Oh, that's not a very good photo of me"?
Yes.
Yeah, I've done that. I'm going to show you what's in evidence is 286. This is the state's photo. You said they look kind of miserable in that photo, right?
Yes.
You'd agree this is their wedding day, right?
Yes. I assume.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
You told us before that they were out and doing a lot of stuff at the initial parts of their relationship, right?
Yep. Yes.
Yes. And that included the time when they got married, right?
Yes.
Okay. You'd agree with me in 285, they're wearing the same outfits, right?
Yes.
They don't look too unhappy there, do they?
You can't see too much of their face, but no,
Right.
I guess not.
Because they're kissing each other,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
right? Okay. That appears to be something you do when you're having a good time, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you 287. They sure look like they're having fun in that picture, don't they?
Yes.
You agree with that, right?
Yes.
Okay. In fact, when you talked to law enforcement on the 13th of May of 2008, right after Sharon was killed, you told Detective Dino Kelly that their relationship was good, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't say that?
No. I believe I said she wasn't happy. He was leaving her all the time.
Okay. Of course it was.
All right, while they're taking that pause in court, we're going to keep an eye on that courtroom, but it's a great time to bring in our guest for the hour who is standing by, trial attorney Michael Jaffer. Michael, we've had another friend now talking about concerns that they had about the marriage, this seemingly shotgun marriage between these two people really fast. How concerned are you that this 57-year-old woman is shopping for his and hers earns with her new husband?
This is just more, this witness is more a momentum witness for the prosecution. I'm looking for that leap, right? Because the evidence that the prosecution is presenting has to cause the jury to make the leap that because because this is just sounding more like just bad gossip until you get to the meat of the situation, which is she was murdered, right? The prosecution has to bring witnesses or evidence of some sort that can allow the jury to make the leap that because this guy was a creep, because he was a bad husband, because his wife was unhappy, he then hired a hitman to kill her, and then he killed the hitman, and the hitman who killed her did have his own motive, right? There were things and belongings that he could steal. And the thing that I noticed from the before the redirect with the cross-examination was the testimony that the defendant went to the bank the day of the murder and was moving a lot of money. The reason that was important to me was because that can establish a motive for Michael Miller to rob the house and murder her, right? It creates a motive because Michael Miller now is aware of the fact that there might be a lot of money in the house and he's there to steal it, as well as the other things that he was stealing, right? If in fact he stole anything, right? And so I think that this witness that's on there right now and all the witnesses prior only established that, you know, the defendant was a bad guy, a bad husband, abusive husband, a neglectful husband. But there's a big leap that has to happen between that and actually orchestrating an elaborate murder where he murdered not just one person, but two people. I'm not seeing it. And the defense attorney did an awesome job on cross-examination by being nice, being polite, being respectful to the witness. And, you know, hey, I know, I sympathize for the loss of your friend. I know you're saddened. So,
and he's sorry that Michael Miller killed his friend, emphasizing that undisputed part of that, that neither side is disputing that Michael Miller killed Sharon. Just the question is, to your point, whether or not there was this conspiracy between the two men. So perhaps money moving, it could cut both ways. It could show that Michael Miller knew there was money, but it could also show that he was going to give Michael Miller that money. Michael Jafer, we're going to fit in a break. They have not come back from that bit of a break there inside of the courtroom. So we will go back into that Nevada courtroom on the other side.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, an in-depth look at people accused of plotting to kill their spouses. Lindsay Shiver, California Judge Jeffrey Ferguson, and more. We'll bring in experts to weigh in on these cases of romance turned deadly. Plus, on the docket, a father and son accused of shooting at a FedEx driver are set to stand trial for attempted murder. We'll bring you the details before this trial gets underway.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Together.
Juntos.
Together.
We stand up to cancer. On Saturday, August 19th, join Stand Up to Cancer for all the inspiration.
Together, we can stand up for our family and friends and everyone who is battling this disease.
Celebrating all the progress and innovation.
So just stand up with us.
One night to save lives. Join the millions in the fight against cancer.
Stand Up to Cancer, Saturday, August 19th at 8/7 Central on Scripps News.
I have the most amazing thing to tell you that you're not even gonna believe.
Found your retainer?
I wish.
You keep me coming back for more.
That's incredible. No, it's genius. I know. Oh, get it. You'll never understand. It's really great. I get it.
You're not getting this at all.
Oh, what are you doing here?
I used to be a phenomenon. Now I'm reduced to a what are you doing here?
You keep me coming back for more.
For over 100 years, this light has shined. Through generations of Americans, this light carries on.
Reporting from Ukraine, Scripps News.
A beacon of the free American press. Reporting the facts, telling the whole story. This light illuminates, it informs, and now shines even brighter. Scripps News.
Ava's looking to love watching TV again. Let's meet our final contestant.
Name's Antenna, digital antenna. I can offer you live sports, news, weather, and your favorite shows for free.
You sound too good to be true.
And no subscriptions, no contracts, or monthly fees.
Say no more. I'm picking Antenna.
For viewers at home, save money and watch TV for free. Find your perfect antenna at thefreetvproject.org.
Jodi Arias, the obsessed ex-girlfriend accused of brutally killing her former boyfriend.
You're the one that did this, right?
Yes.
Was it jealous rage or self-defense?
Travis flipped out.
The high-profile trial that had a little bit of everything. You have feelings for the defendant, right? I beg your pardon, sir.
Relive the case that captivated the nation.
And made the name Jodi Arias unforgettable.
The trial of Jodi Arias. Weekdays 8 to noon on Court TV Legendary Trials.
Let the games begin.
Ooh, that sounds wonderful.
Now you look like you got some sense.
It's some more. Oh, okay.
Line it up, baby.
Sorry I'm late. Looking this good doesn't happen by accident.
There are people like us that want to reach out to you and send you that love.
Hey, family.
I got to get my dance on.
I'm coming back to this show. Isn't this just fabulous?
Do you have an idea for a story you would want to share? We want to hear from you. Call our Scripps News viewer hotline at 833-4SCRIPPS. That's 833-4SCRIPPS.
Now to Nevada for more testimony in the widower murder trial for Thomas Randolph. The four-time widower is accused in the shooting deaths of his wife and the hitman he allegedly hired to kill her. Randolph was already found guilty and sentenced to death for these crimes, but a retrial was granted after a high court found that prior bad act evidence of this defendant being accused of killing another wife in the 80s shouldn't have been admitted during his first trial. Let's get you back into court now. It is Antoinette Dean, a friend of the victim.
Tommy, didn't she?
At some point in time, but maybe before all the drama he put her through.
Okay. When you talk about all the drama that he put her through, you're talking about looking back at a relationship 15 years ago, aren't you?
No.
You're not?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, she died in 2008, right?
Yes.
Okay. You're talking about a relationship between 2005 and 2008, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You agree with me, 2008 is like 15 years ago, right?
Okay, yes.
Okay. You'd agree with me that you don't like Tommy Randolph, do you?
No. Yes, I do agree with you. No, I don't like him.
Right. And you and some of Sharon's other friends have been standing out in the hallway last Friday and today, right? Yes.
Yes.
Talking about how you don't like Tommy Randolph, right?
And other things, but yes, I'm sure that came up.
Right. And you want justice for your friend, right?
Yes.
And you want to see Tommy get in trouble, right?
Get in trouble?
Yeah.
I just want to see justice for what he did.
Right. You know,
to not only Sharon, Michael too.
Yeah, you know, as you sit here today, Mike Miller shot your friend in the head, right?
That's the story. We're still not sure if what happened. None of us were there. So.
Right. That's precisely my point. You weren't there, right?
No.
But you're here, yes?
Yes.
And you agree with me you don't like Tommy, right?
Yes.
Okay. Pass the administration.
Any follow-up questions? So you were just asked by Mr. Tomchek about I think you said all the drama in the relationship. What did you mean by that?
Like I said, him leaving, he left quite a few times, and he would bring his stuff in and then take all his stuff out. He had, he would get, people from like Home Depot, stuff like that, to come move his things out. And then, he was, she would lose things, and then all of a sudden, mysteriously, he found it. And look, it was here the whole time, dummy. And, you know, just the way he talked to her and, you know, and treated her.
So let me
Christmas and Valentine's Day, you go to California to be with someone else. I mean,
did you feel he was disrespectful to Sharon?
Yes.
And did you feel that the relationship was not healthy for her emotionally?
Yes, it was definitely not healthy for her.
And as her friend, you were concerned about all kinds of things?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, have any questions for this witness? Okay, seeing no response, maybe I'll accuse. Thank you very much for your testimony here today.
You too. Thank you so much too.
Michael Schaefer standing by while we wait for that next witness to take the stand. Michael, it sounds like this is one of those jurisdictions where the judge is going to allow the jury to answer, or ask rather, and get answers to their questions.
Yeah. The world is going to ask this jury to unknow everything that they know, because as I always tell people, we all grew up in the OJ era where it was possible to sequester a jury and have them be immune from all the outside noise. That's not possible anymore. Not even 1% of that is possible. Not even 1% of the sequestration that happened in the OJ trial is possible these days. Every one of the people on that jury know every single thing about this defendant and everything he's accused of, and the documentary, and the news articles. I mean, just type his name online. You'll know everything about him. You're not going to be a juror in a case like this without knowing every single thing that every single person has alleged he has done. And I've tried, I've searched, I've Googled his name. There's not a single article out there or analysis out there by anybody that says he might be innocent. Not a single one. And so I'm really curious to see what they do with this evidence. But that's not going to bode well for the defendant.
There are many articles that talk a lot about these prior bad acts is a really huge one. But, you know, there's some attorneys who believe that these jurors are going to follow their oath because they know that they are not supposed to be looking at all of that stuff. But I know there are those who just don't believe that we can get a fair and impartial jury when it comes to them being completely immune, but hopefully still following the law. Let's get back into the courtroom. The next witness on the stand, Alice Wolf. She worked with the victim at the hair salon. We've heard from a few hair salon related friends so far. Let's go back into court.
Were you friends with Sharon Randolph?
Yes, I was.
How did you two meet?
I met her at the hair shop when she came there to work.
And were you also working there?
Yes, yes.
And what hair shop was it?
The hair shop.
What was the name of it?
The hair
shop.
shop.
The hair shop. Okay. Sorry, I'm not picking up on that. And what do you remember approximately what year this was?
It was in the early 90s, 1990s.
Okay. Did there come a point when she didn't work there anymore?
Yes.
And maybe she worked somewhere else?
Yes.
Did you still maintain your friendship with Sharon?
Yes, I did.
During sort of the period of January through May of 2008, how frequently were you talking to Sharon?
What was the dates again?
The last 6 months of her life. How often would you say you had talked?
Oh my goodness. Maybe 2-3 times a day.
Okay, so quite a bit.
A lot, yes.
Usually by phone?
Yes.
Did
person as well.
Did you guys go out and do things together?
Yes,
socially?
we did.
What types of things did you do with Sharon?
We'd go shopping, we'd go to the movies, we'd go to lunch.
Okay. Did, because of the time frame you're giving us, you knew her before she met Thomas Randolph?
Yes.
At some point you're aware that she met him?
Yes.
And did she, without telling me what she said, but she let you know she was involved in a new relationship?
Yes, she told me.
And were you two still working together at that time?
No, I don't believe so. She was kind of like coming in and out of the shop.
So she could have been working elsewhere.
You know, I really don't remember that, but
Do you remember discussing?
Yes, she was. She was working somewhere else. Yes.
Oh, okay. Do you remember her talking about things that they did as a couple, that sort of thing?
She only said that she had met him, Mr. Randolph, and that they had gone to a concert.
Okay. Did you feel like the relationship was moving fast?
Pretty, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And would that have been based on conversations that you had with her about the relationship?
I suppose, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember ever meeting, or well, do you remember the first time you met Mr. Randolph?
Yes, I do.
Where was it?
It was at the hair shop. It was on a Sunday.
And do you remember the year or anything like that?
It had to have been like 2000, maybe 4 or 5. I don't know.
2004 or 5?
Mm-hmm.
And it was at the hair shop, you said?
Yes.
Okay. What were the circumstances? Why was he there?
Well, she called me and said, can you come to the shop? And I said, I never went there on Sunday, but she would go there now and again just to do a client that, you know, and I guess she was going to give him a permanent.
Okay.
And she had said that she had met this man, this guy, and that she wanted me to meet him. I said, oh, I can run by.
So did you go to the hair shop?
Yes, I did.
And do you remember interacting with him, or how would you describe what happened?
Oh, God.
We are going to hit the pause button on that testimony, fit in a break, and we'll get you right back inside for more testimony from that friend when we come back.
A man married 6 times. 4 of his wives died under mysterious circumstances.
Eccentric widower Thomas Randolph.
Charged with the murders of his wife and the man he allegedly paid to kill her.
A 2017 conviction overturned.
Plan between Mr. Miller and Mr. Randolph was to kill Sherry.
Now he faces a jury once again.
The Widower Murder Trial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
Together.
Juntos.
Together.
We stand up to cancer.
On Saturday, August 19th, join Stand Up to Cancer for all the inspiration,
Together, we can stand up for our family and friends and everyone who is battling this disease.
celebrating all the progress and innovation.
So just stand up with us.
One night to save lives. Join the millions in the fight against cancer. Stand Up to Cancer, Saturday, August 19th at 8/7 Central on Scripps News.
I have the most amazing thing to tell you that you're not even going to believe.
Found your retainer?
I wish.
You keep me coming back for more.
That's incredible. No, it's genius. I know. Oh, forget it. You'll never understand.
It's really great. I get it.
You're not getting this at all.
Alf, what are you doing here?
I used to be a phenomenon. Now I'm reduced to a what are you doing here?
You keep me coming back for more.
Let's meet our final contestant.
Name's Antenna, digital antenna. I can offer you live sports, news, weather, and your favorite shows for free.
Say no more. I'm picking Antenna.
For viewers at home, save money and watch TV for free.
There's gonna be trouble. Let's have it. Keep your eyes open. Pull that trigger.
Well, that's right.
I'll find you and I'll kill you. Now all I need is a fresh horse, a saddle, and a gun.
Free Movie Channel has something for everyone. With no subscription or rental fees, Free Movie Channel is the quick and easy choice for first-run films, as well as classic movies. Check out Free Movie Channel today and find your new favorite movie.
Let the games begin.
Ooh, that sounds wonderful.
Now, you talking like you got some sense.
Let's get some more than okay.
Line it up,
baby. Sorry I'm late. Looking this good doesn't happen by accident.
There are people like us that want to reach out to you and send you that love.
Hey, family!
You got to get my dance on.
I'm coming back to this show. Isn't this just fabulous?
The fastest gun in the West. That's right. Is a magnet for trouble.
Now why'd you have to show up?
Rory Calhoun is the Texan. Scared? Every Thursday night on Grid Extra.
Jodi Arias, the obsessed ex-girlfriend accused of brutally killing her former boyfriend.
You're the one that did this, right?
Yes.
Was it jealous rage or self-defense?
Travis flipped out.
The high-profile trial that had a little bit of everything. You have feelings for the defendant, right?
I beg your pardon, sir.
Relive the case that captivated the nation.
And made the name Jodi Arias unforgettable.
The trial of Jodi Arias. Weekdays 8 to noon on Court TV Legendary Trials.
Welcome back. We're watching together the widower murder trial out of Las Vegas. Testimony resumed this afternoon in the trial of Thomas Randolph, and he's being retried this time around for the murders of his wife Sharon and the hitman he allegedly hired to kill her. The motive, prosecutors say, was a $350,000 life insurance policy he had out on his wife. Let's get you back into court where Sharon's friend Alice Wolf is on the stand under direct examination.
I was in the shop sitting at my station and waiting for her to come, and they walked in. And she sat him down, and then she had already told me a few things about him, like, you know, who he was and all that. And then she went in the back to prepare the rods or whatever she was going to use for his hair. And so I got up and I stood behind him. He's sitting in the chair and I'm standing behind him. And I said, looking in the mirror, and I said, well, so Tommy, tell me, just to get to know him, right? I said, I understand you like the Cowboys.
The football team?
Football team. And he just kept looking down. He did not ever look at me.
Did he answer?
He just said, yeah.
Okay. Did he?
Didn't look at me, didn't look in the mirror, nothing. I asked him, how was the concert? I believe that's what I asked him. I can't remember really, but he didn't actually answer.
Okay. So
that
he
I can
was
remember.
Not engaging with
He was not engaging in any conversation with me.
Okay. The relationship, though, continues between Sharon and Tommy.
Yes.
Did you ever express concerns to Sharon about your view of the relationship?
Yes, I did.
On how many occasions do you think you expressed concerns to Sharon?
Probably every time I would talk to her.
Okay, so a number of times.
Yes.
And she kept seeing him?
Yes.
At some point in time, does she ask you to go with her to make a will?
Yes.
Do you remember what year that was?
I cannot remember the year.
Okay. Were you a witness on the will?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor? Yes. Ms. Wolf, I'm going to show you what's been admitted as States 309. And can I move this just a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. So here's the front page, and then there's some signatures here. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Okay. Is this the will that you had made with Sharon?
It looks pretty much like it, yes.
So I'm going to put this on the front. So tell me where it was that you went to get this will done.
Well, I met her in the parking lot of the hair shop.
Okay.
And then I got in her car and she drove me, I believe it was on Rainbow. It was like a postal service,
Okay.
I believe. And they had a notary there. And that's what she needed. She needed to have a notarized the will.
Okay, and so this was like a pre-printed document that she got at like one of those post office businesses?
Well, I don't think she picked it up there. I don't know if she already had it, but I remember that we were standing on a table at a stand-up table type, and she was like writing this out.
Okay. And is this her writing? Like she would have filled it all out? I mean, you didn't fill it out for her.
I did not fill it out.
Okay.
This is hers.
Okay. And so there's some property described and some bank accounts described and jewelry.
Yes.
And then she leaves everything to my only child, Colleen Byer.
Yes.
Do you know Colleen Byer to be her daughter?
Yes, I do.
And looking at the last page of 309, it looks like it's 24th of January of 07, and it looks like there's a signature of Alice Wolf
Mm-hmm.
and then Floyd Wolf.
Right.
Who is Floyd Wolf?
My husband.
Okay, so you two witness it and then it's notarized, is that right?
Correct.
Now, did you know what Sharon had written on, in terms of the directives of this will?
Did I know?
Yeah, did she tell you, look, this is what I'm doing?
Oh, she asked me, does this look right to you? And I said, well, sure, yeah.
Okay. What did she do with this after she filled it out and it was notarized?
She folded it up, put it in an envelope, and handed it to me.
And what did you do with it?
Well, prior to that, I said, well, you're giving it to me. And she said, because if anything happens to me, I want you to give it to Colleen.
Okay. So what did you do with it?
I put it in my bank deposit box at the bank.
All right. Now, at some point, Sharon dies, and what do you do with that document?
I went to the bank. I took it out, and I was working that. I had to work. I think that was I believe it was on a Friday. I don't know if I did it or if my husband. I cannot recall, but I think it was my husband that went and got the letter.
Okay.
The envelope. But I can't really remember.
Okay. Did you ever get a phone call from Colleen indicating that she had received the document?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
But I didn't hand it to her. My husband took it and left it at the house.
Okay.
For her.
And you probably don't, because it wasn't you probably don't remember when that was done in relation to
It was
her
like
death.
immediately.
Oh, shortly after her death?
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Just prior to her death, did you know whether or not she was out of state, like in Utah?
Yes.
Where were you in Las Vegas at that time?
No, I was in San Diego.
Okay. And do you just happen to have a residence in San Diego?
Yes, I do.
And actually, while we're on that, on occasion, did you let Sharon stay in that residence as like a little vacation?
Yes, I did.
After Sharon was killed, do you remember if you ever spoke to Mr. Randolph?
Yes, I did.
How soon after her death?
I believe she was murdered on a Thursday night. Friday morning. No, wait a minute. I think it was a Wednesday. And then I was returning back from San Diego. So it had to have been like a Thursday. I get a phone call.
We've reached the top of the hour, so we do have to squeeze in a break. We're hitting the pause button. Our thanks to Michael Jafer for all of his legal analysis this hour. And now Judge Ashley Wilcott is picking up our coverage. Hi, Judge Ashley.
Hey, Julia Janae, great to see you. We are going to be bringing you more of this testimony. Who better to hear it from than a friend on the stand, but also Chanley Painter, our own friend, live from Las Vegas. Stay tuned. Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Together.
Juntos.
Together.
We stand up to cancer.
On Saturday, August 19th, join Stand Up to Cancer for all the inspiration,
Together, we can stand up for our family and friends and everyone who is battling this disease.
celebrating all the progress and innovation.
So just stand up with us.
One night to save lives. Join the millions in the fight against cancer. Stand Up to Cancer, Saturday, August 19th at 8/7 Central on Scripps News.
You budget, you pay bills.
Yet somehow women like you, like me,
Are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to save ourselves by setting a goal to save 2% more of our income for our retirement.
Why 2?
1% honors you, and 1% honors all womankind.
So come on, learn more about the 2% challenge at WeSaySaveIt.org.
For over 100 years, this light has shined. Through generations of Americans, this light carries on.
Reporting from Ukraine, Scripps News.
A beacon of the free American press. Reporting the facts, telling the whole story. This light illuminates, it informs, and now shines even brighter. Scripps News.
Every day on Court TV.
Get ready, folks. We've got a lot to get to.
Witness the raw emotion,
She didn't need to die that night.
I just snapped.
the outbursts,
This is ridiculous. Don't get brazen with me.
the life or death drama.
I just killed a man.
Live inside the courtroom.
I could have said that I was guilty a long time ago.
Every trial, every verdict, every single day. Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
The fastest gun in the West. That's right. Is a magnet for trouble.
Why'd you have to show up?
Rory Calhoun is the Texan. Scared? Every Thursday night on Grid Extra.
I have the most amazing thing to tell you that you're not even going to believe.
Found your retainer?
I wish.
You keep me coming back for more.
That's incredible. No, it's genius. I know. Oh, get it. You'll never understand.
It's really great. I get it.
You're not getting this at all.
Alf, what are you doing here?
I used to be a phenomenon. Now I'm reduced to a what are you doing here?
You keep me coming back for more.
Welcome back. Today, Ava's looking to love watching TV again. Let's meet our final contestant.
Name's Antenna, digital antenna. I can offer you live sports, news, weather, and your favorite shows for free.
You sound too good to be true.
And no subscriptions, no contracts, or monthly fees.
Say no more. I'm picking Antenna.
For viewers at home, save money and watch TV for free. Find your perfect antenna at thefreetvproject.org.
These are the cases that captivated the world.
Couldn't keep my life straight.
That demanded our attention.
They were killed by their own children.
That challenged the legal system and ourselves.
How in the world can a mother wait 30 days before reporting her child missing?
These are the trials that became legendary. And now you can relive them all in one place. Court TV, Legendary Trials. Go to courttv.com/legendary trials to find out how to watch.
That's 1-800-614-8507.
Said, what did you do to my mother? What did he say? He said, Michael's shot killed your mother. And then he just hung up on me.
I was just completely repulsed by him. And how dare he even still play like he's innocent. I'm really worried because he's an evil man. And if he does get out, he'll find another victim. Number 7. He will. No doubt in my mind.
And welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Judge Ashley Wilcott, honored to be with you. Testimony is back underway in the retrial of Thomas Randolph. The 68-year-old is facing a jury again after his conviction was overturned in the murders of his sixth wife, Sharon, and handyman Michael Miller, who he allegedly hired as a hitman. A court ruled evidence about prior bad acts should have never made it into his first trial. 4 of Randolph's 6 wives have died under mysterious circumstances. And our own Court TV legal correspondent, Chanley Painter, is in Las Vegas covering the widower murder trial. Chanley, always great to see you, especially on this Monday. So tell us about what the latest is in court and what we can expect coming up.
Great to be with you, Judge Ashley. So up next is a big witness, the girlfriend of the defendant during his marriage to Sharon Randolph, which, as we've been hearing in the testimony from Sharon's friends and her daughter, that was a point of tension, and that really made Sharon feel bad, up to the point that she wanted to divorce the defendant right before her murder. So here at the beginning of week 2 of this trial, the prosecution has continued its theme of calling Sharon's friends that had known her for years. We've heard from Antoinette or Tony Dean and Alice Wolf. Both knew her for years leading up to her murder. And again, the prosecution using these friends to show some common themes, asking the same questions about who Sharon was, their concerns and fears when she began and quickly married defendant Tommy Randolph, and then his relationship with the handyman Mike Miller, their observations of Sharon in the weeks and days leading up to her murder. But today we did see the defense fight back a little bit on some of the cross-examination of these friends. Let's take a listen to part of Tony's testimony.
When you heard about some of these activities, did you express any concern to Sharon?
Yes.
What did you tell Sharon?
That I wasn't comfortable with her doing these things, and most likely it must have been because of how fast the relationship went. He was, adamant about the life insurance, and then I think the last straw might have been the Earns thing. I'm like, this all just doesn't make any sense. Like,
So you warned her?
Yes.
They appeared to have a very good relationship at first, right?
Yes, at first.
And the defense on cross-examination, you can see the defense picking out things in each of these friends that go to what we heard from their opening statements, which was that the day of Sharon's murder, he spent most of the day with Mike Miller, the handyman, but that Mike would have known of Sharon's jewelry, would have known that he had a lot of cash, Tommy did, on the day of Sharon's murder, going to the motive for Mike Miller to be the murderer, the robber here in this whole scheme, and even pointing out that the home phone would drop a lot of calls, going back to, again, what we heard in the defense, Judge Ashley, which was that it took him about 12 to 15 minutes to call 911 because he had trouble with his phone. So they're trying to bring out favorable facts on cross-examination.
Yep, 12 to 15 minutes, a very long time in that particular scenario. Talking about motive, I don't know if this plays in or not, but tell us what the jury heard about Sharon's will.
Yeah, this was a big moment inside the courtroom as the prosecution on the second witness of the day, Alice Wolf, a longtime friend of Sharon and worked with Sharon at the hair shop, actually went with Sharon to have a will notarized. Now, it was unclear on whether or not Tommy knew about this will, but it was insinuated as though he had no idea because Sharon went to the friend to have the will signed, and she left everything not to her husband, but to her daughter. Let's watch.
She leaves everything to my only child, Colleen Byer.
Yes.
Do you know Colleen Byer to be her daughter?
Yes, I do.
And looking at the last page of 309, it looks like it's 24th of January of 07, and it looks like there's a signature of Alice Wolf, and then Floyd Wolf.
Right.
Who is Floyd Wolf?
My husband.
Okay, so you two witness it, and then it's notarized, is that right?
Correct.
So that was a moment, and again, something that this jury will have to consider. There was a time when Alice was glaring so much at the defendant inside the courtroom, Judge Ashley, that the defense attorney on cross had to say, "Please look at me when I'm asking you questions," and really homed in on the fact that she abhors, to use her word, the defendant still today.
Yeah, I didn't notice that too. And it's interesting that he had to step in and say, "Look at me, please." So, Shanley, we're going to let you get back inside that courtroom. Thank you for joining us. And we want to get all of us back inside to court where we left off. On the stand right now, Miss Dean, she met Sharon through a mutual friend.
And it was Tommy.
And what did he tell you?
He said, something happened to Sharon. I believe that's what he said. I said, what happened to Sharon? Where is she? And I said, Tommy, what did you do to her? And he said, I didn't do anything to her. He did it. I said, who did it? He said, Mike. But he was very, very calm when he told me this. He was.
Did you know who Mike was?
Yes, I did.
You knew, and what was your understanding as to who he was?
He was a handyman that he had found as a friend from some convenience store, is what she told me.
Okay. You were aware that Sharon actually was married to Mr. Randolph?
Yes.
Did you attend either wedding?
No.
From talking to Sharon, I now want to focus on the time period of 2008. Was it your impression that during that time period, the marriage was going well, poorly? How would you characterize it right at the end?
Very bad.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness. Cross.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
How are you?
Could be better.
Yeah, probably not a lot of fun to come here and talk about this
No,
stuff,
it
right?
isn't.
It's not fun because you cared for Sharon very much,
I
right?
loved her. Yes, very much.
I'm very sorry for your loss. She seemed like a lot of fun. Would you agree with that?
Sharon is a big-hearted, loving, fun person. Yes.
Okay. And I didn't know her, but that seems to be what everybody says about her. Knowing her, you'd agree with that assessment of her, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. And you know that she married Tommy, right?
Yes, I found out. Yes.
And she didn't actually tell you that at first, right?
No.
Okay. I mean, you would kind of let her know that you didn't approve of Tommy, right?
I certainly did. Yes.
Yeah, you didn't like him much, right?
I didn't like him at all.
But you know, she liked him a lot, right?
At the beginning, yes.
She fell in love with him, right?
Well, I don't know if that would. I don't know. She would never tell me that she was in love.
She never told you she was in love?
No.
Okay. She never told you that it was love at first sight for her?
She never mentioned that to me, no.
Okay. Would it surprise you that she told other people that?
Would it surprise me?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it would surprise me or not.
Okay.
I just had my own impression and I told her what I thought.
Okay, so let's talk about your impression. You told us that the first time you met Tommy was in a Sunday at the beauty shop, right?
Yes.
And she had actually brought him in on the weekend to do something with his hair, right?
Yes.
Tommy always had, in the entire time you knew him, real long hair, right?
Yeah.
And they went to rock concerts together, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. And you knew they enjoyed that together, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
In fact, Sharon came back after one of these rock concerts and she was just over the moon. She had fallen for Tommy. That's your words, right?
I believe so. The first time, yes.
Okay. This first time you met him, when you were in the shop on a Sunday, Sharon was there and Tommy was there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
She was going to do a particular thing to his hair, right?
Correct.
And she was going to give him a perm, right?
Correct.
Okay. I've never had a perm, believe it or not. But what I've seen is there's a process where you put rods in the hair and you kind of curl it up and you put it under this apparatus, right?
Well, you put this solution on and just sit there.
Okay.
You don't put it under anything.
Before the solution's put on, she actually washes his hair, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
Sure.
You knew that Tommy was hard of hearing, right?
I didn't know that.
Okay.
I don't
Did
believe
you
so.
did you know that he wore hearing aids?
I did not know.
Okay, so Sharon didn't tell you he was hard of hearing and wore hearing aids, right?
No.
Did you ever wash anybody's hair in the beauty shop?
Absolutely, yes.
Ever wash anybody's hair that had hearing aids?
Yes.
They ever take them out first?
Yes.
It's pretty normal, right?
Pretty much.
For people that wear hearing aids and take them out to get their hair washed, might be hard for them to hear, right?
If they take them out,
Yes.
well, I guess so, yeah.
Right.
Depends on your hearing,
Yeah, so let's say you're hearing at a 2 out of 10, just to work with a hypothetical number. Your hearing aids come out, that's all you can hear. That would be difficult to communicate with someone, right?
I
Yes.
suppose, yeah.
Did you ever have any of those people and all the times that you took out their hearing aids and washed their hair where you couldn't talk to them because they couldn't hear you?
Never.
Never?
Not that I can say.
Okay.
Not when I'm right on them, on top of them.
Okay. Would it strike you as unusual if someone was embarrassed about their hearing, if they just kind of sat there quietly rather than trying to engage in conversation when they couldn't hear somebody?
I don't think they'd be embarrassed.
Okay. You wouldn't be, right?
No.
Can you accept the fact that maybe other people?
There's a possibility, yes.
Sure. After that moment, you didn't like Tommy much at all, did you?
I worked in this hair business for a long time, and can pretty much read people when I first meet them. And I disliked him very much.
Okay.
I just got a creepy feeling about him.
Right. Precisely my point. From the first time you laid eyes on him, when you tried to talk to him and he didn't respond to you, you didn't like him, did you?
No. I think my gut feeling was I did not care for the man at all.
Okay. You felt that in your gut.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. In fact, after Sharon died, law enforcement didn't actually contact. I'm over here, ma'am. If you could just look this way.
Sure.
Thank you. And just for the record, I mean, you appear to be glaring at Tommy as you sit here today. You'd agree with that assessment, right?
Yes.
Because you pretty much hate him, don't you?
I wouldn't say that I hate him.
Okay, use your word. What is it that you have for him?
I abhor him.
Okay. Going out on a limb here, abhor kind of analogous to hate, right?
That's a strong word, I suppose. Hate.
Would you agree that abhor is a strong word too?
Not really.
Okay. After Sharon is killed by Mike Miller, and you find out about that, I want to talk to you about a couple pieces of that history. Tommy actually calls you the very next day, right?
Yes, to tell me that.
And he talks to you in what you described as a calm voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
And you understand the content of that call is Tommy is reaching out to Sharon's friend, i.e. you, to tell you she's been killed, right?
I had to ask him what happened to her.
Okay. Let me walk you through it, okay? He reaches out to you. He dials your number, right?
Yes.
And you have an understanding that it's to tell you something bad has happened to her, right?
Yes.
And he starts that conversation by saying, I'm sorry, Alice, but something has happened to Sharon, right?
No, he didn't say I'm sorry.
Okay. He says, something has happened to Sharon. Okay?
Exactly.
Okay. And you said, what happened? Put her on the phone. I want to talk to her, right?
Yes.
Okay. And he says, I can't do that. She's been killed, right?
She's dead.
Right. That's what he said, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
And your response is, what did you do to her?
Exactly.
And he told you I didn't do anything to her. He shot her, right?
He did it.
Alice Wolf owning the fact she had no love lost for the defendant in this case, Tommy Randolph. We do need to take a break, but as we head into the break, a reminder that we are live streaming testimony in our other live trial, the sleepover kidnapping murder trial out of Iowa. Henry Dinkins, a convicted sex offender, is accused of kidnapping 10-year-old Breasia Terrell in 2020. She was at a sleepover at Dinkins' apartment with her half-brother. Dinkin is the boy's father. Her remains were found several months later in a pond, and she died from gunshot wounds. To follow the trial, head over to courttv.com. We'll be right back.
I started hearing these stories about murder.
Go deep inside the dark world of true crime.
We knew that what we were doing had consequences, but we just didn't care.
Vice on Court TV, tonight at 7/6 Central.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, an in-depth look at people accused of plotting to kill their spouses. We'll bring in experts to weigh in on these cases of romance turned deadly.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
There's a better way to begin your mornings.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Rush. Thanks so much for being with us.
Context and conversation.
There's a new study that might make you feel a little bit better. Okay. So listen to this.
On the stories that will shape each day.
Here with us now is meteorologist Scott Withers. You got just wave after wave after wave.
So you can get on with yours.
Make sure you stay with us as we monitor this developing story.
Morning Rush. Weekday mornings starting at 7/6 Central. Only on Scripps News.
For over 100 years, this light has shined. Through generations of Americans, this light carries on.
Reporting from Ukraine, Scripps News.
A beacon of the free American press. Reporting the facts, telling the whole story. This light illuminates, it informs, and now shines even brighter. Scripps News.
Every day on Court TV.
Get ready, folks. We've got a lot to get to.
Witness the raw emotion.
She didn't need to die that night.
I just snapped.
The outbursts.
This is ridiculous.
Don't get brazen with me.
The life or death drama.
I just killed a man.
Live inside the courtroom.
I could have said that I was guilty a long time ago.
Every trial, every verdict, every single day. Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
These are the cases that captivated the world.
Can keep my life straight.
That demanded our attention.
They were killed by their own children.
That challenged the legal system and ourselves.
How in the world can a mother wait 30 days before reporting her child missing?
These are the trials that became legendary.
Stop
And now you can relive them all in one place. Court TV Legendary Trials. Go to courttv.com/legendary trials to find out how to watch.
Free Movie Channel has something for everyone. Whether you're looking for a laugh, some tears, chilling scares, or something for the whole family, Free Movie Channel has got you covered. With no subscription or rental fees, Free Movie Channel is the quick and easy choice for first-run films, as well as classic movies that you can watch wherever you want, whenever you need a break. It's always free and it's always fun. Check out Free Movie Channel today and find your new favorite movie.
The WNBA is on Ion. Wow. Every Friday, the push to the playoffs continues. I can't see nobody stopping me. This week, Kalia leads the Sky into the ATL in a must-win against Ryan and the Dream. Then we're off to Phoenix as the Mercury take on Brianna and the Liberty. Sky, Dream, followed by Liberty, Mercury. Coverage starts Friday night at 7:30. Check local listings for games in your area. Only on Ion.
You budget. You pay bills.
Yet somehow women like you, like me,
are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to save ourselves by setting a goal to save 2% more of our income for our retirement.
Why 2? 1% honors you.
And 1% honors all womankind.
So come on, learn more about the 2% challenge at wesaysaveit.org.
Day 2 of the widower murder retrial for Thomas Randolph is currently underway in Nevada. Randolph is facing double murder charges for the killings of his 6th wife and the handyman he allegedly hired to kill her. The 68-year-old was convicted and sentenced to death after his original trial on these charges in 2017. He now, however, gets a second chance at freedom after that conviction was overturned in 2020. Let's get back inside that courtroom. On this stand is Alice Wolf, a friend who says she met Sharon at the hair shop.
Mentioning that conversation that the he was Mike, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you'd agree with me that Tommy called you to tell you what happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
And you were pretty hostile with him, right?
Yeah.
Because
yes.
Because you abhorred him, right?
Because I just did not care for the man at all.
Okay. Law enforcement never reached out to you after this homicide, right?
No.
In fact, you called Detective Dino Kelly on the 13th of May, right?
I cannot recall if if it was Dean O'Kelly. I don't remember.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to let you know that there are hundreds of pages of reports, and I've read all of them. Dean O'Kelly indicates that you called him on the 13th of May. You don't dispute that, do you?
No, I don't. But I did call. Yes.
You reached out to law enforcement, right?
I was told to, yes.
You reached out to law enforcement,
Yes.
correct? And you would agree with me that when you got the detective on the phone, you said, I don't like Thomas Randolph. That man is strange, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Pass it, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Wolf, at the hair shop, when you were trying to interact with Mr. Randolph, did it seem like he couldn't hear you?
Well, I'll tell you, he just sat down and his hair wasn't going to get washed right then.
Okay.
He was just sitting there.
So it was before his hair was washed?
Yes.
Did you see any hearing aids on those little tables in front of you?
No.
Under the mirror?
No.
You were right by him, right?
I was right behind him.
So he could have seen
behind
you?
him. Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm done, Your Honor. Thank you.
Not at all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the jury have any questions for this witness? Okay. May we get your brush approach on a full sheet of paper with your name and your juror number. Okay, counsel, can you approach?
All right, a sidebar. They are approaching the bench. A perfect time to bring in, my Monday guest, Josh. So we have with us Jack Rice, Josh Schiffer, both defense attorneys. Thank you, of course, for joining me. Always love having you. You know that. Here's my question for you. All right, so cross-examination, I think, was really effective, bringing out that Alice Wolf does not like the defendant, Tommy Randolph. Never did, had a bad feeling about him, had nothing good to say about him. At the end of the day, does that matter, Josh?
It humanizes and it's honest, and you've got to be really firm when you're going to get into those personal things. It's totally okay for witnesses to have personal feelings. It's when a jury feels that someone's trying to hide or manufacture or cover. That's when they're really going to take away something negative, as opposed to someone kind of owning the facts of a prior prejudice or bias. And that's how you want authentic testimony to happen.
All right, Jack, so she did say, yeah, I abhor him. And apparently she may have been looking at him when defense counsel said, look at me over here. I did not find her at all deceptive. So I think if I were on the jury, I would have believed what she was saying. And I didn't find that she was trying to hide or cover up anything. As Josh just mentioned, might be sometimes something you have to expose. But what are your thoughts?
Well, Your Honor, there's the rub, isn't it? I mean, that's what we're really talking about right now. It's the importance of making sure, from the perspective of a prosecutor, that the jury believe this person. They can dislike a man, they can hate a man, but if what you can do is explain why you hate them and understand that issue, then it's not about being deceptive. It's just about being honest and credible in understanding all of the players in the room. And that can make a huge difference actually from a prosecution standpoint so that jury can really make the decisions that they need to make.
How important do you think it is to the prosecution's case, all of the prior bad acts, the prior evidence, the sixth wife, and an acquittal and charges against one of the wives, suspicious deaths of 4 of the wives, but none of that can come in like it did in the first trial. Josh, does that potentially cause this to be a losing case for the prosecution, in your opinion?
It's the most determinative set of facts out there. The presence of that information, as far as I can tell, was the determining factor in some of the prior cases. So as we talk about all the time here with you, Judge and Jack, this is such an exercise in hiding as much as it's an exercise in really letting the light shine in and letting the jury know everything that happens. Because in my opinion, if the jury heard any of these prior bad acts, it makes it so much easier for them to intellectually jump to a conviction and feel safe and comfortable that they're putting someone in prison potentially for the rest of their life. That fear of wrongful conviction, fear of wrongful acquittal dynamic that we talk about. But Jack's absolutely right when he's talking about how this witness, and you get to rely on witnesses you may not like, but as long as they're being honest, that's what matters. It's that honest, trustworthy part that matters.
And so, in looking at it, I think the Supreme Court, or the Court of Appeals rather, in Nevada was appropriate in not allowing the prior bad acts in. I understand how that can be, and I see you clapping, Jack, so I want you to weigh in. I understand how the court found prejudicial more than it was probative, therefore it can't come in. But Jack, I want your thoughts on that piece of the puzzle as the prosecution's trying to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt.
This is always my biggest problem. Once a criminal, always a criminal. Once a scumbag, always a scumbag. And the problem is a lot of us will hear this kind of evidence and say, this guy did this before, this is who he is. So therefore, the state doesn't have to prove their case. Now, what's important in this case is to be able to establish who this man is and what he did in this case, and be able to prove to this jury beyond a reasonable doubt that it happened. And so you don't divert the attention of the jury by saying, scumbag, scumbag. You say, I'm going to prove that he's a scumbag in this case. And if you do that, that's how you win a trial like this as a prosecutor.
Yeah, it's a great point. Now, later on in the show, gentlemen, I want to tease a little bit of what I want to talk about, because the motive, according to the investigators, was money. But we know from testimony today that Sharon left everything to her daughter in the will. How does that tie together? We'll get to that. But still ahead, the defendant's former girlfriend testifies via webcam. We'll see what she has to say about Tommy Randolph. You're watching Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, an in-depth look at people accused of plotting to kill their spouses. Lindsay Shiver, California Judge Jeffrey Ferguson, and more. We'll bring in experts to weigh in on these cases of romance turned deadly. Plus, on the docket, a father and son accused of shooting at a FedEx driver are set to stand trial for attempted murder. We'll bring you the details before this trial gets underway.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
I have the most amazing thing to tell you that you're not even going to believe.
Found your retainer?
I wish.
You keep me coming back for more.
That's incredible. No, it's genius. I know. Oh, get it. You'll never understand.
Coming back for more.
It's really great. I get it.
You're not getting this at all.
Oh, what are you doing here?
I used to be a phenomenon. Now I'm reduced to what are you doing here?
You keep me coming back for more. These are the cases that captivated the world.
Can keep my life straight.
That demanded our attention.
They were killed by their own children.
That challenged the legal system and ourselves.
How in the world can a mother wait 30 days before reporting her child missing?
These are the trials that became legendary. And now you can relive them all in one place. Court TV, Legendary Trials. Go to courttv.com/legendary trials to find out how to watch. I want it now, I ain't never going back now.
WNBA is on Ion.
Wow.
Every Friday, the push to the playoffs continues.
I can see nobody stopping me.
This week, Kalia leads the Sky into the ATL in a must-win against Ryan and the Dream. Then we're off to Phoenix as the Mercury take on Brianna and the Liberty. Sky, Dream, followed by Liberty, Mercury. Coverage starts Friday night at 7:30. Check local listings for games in your area. Only on ION.
Free Movie Channel has something for everyone. With no subscription or rental fees, Free Movie Channel is the quick and easy choice for first-run films, as well as classic movies. Check out Free Movie Channel today and find your new favorite movie.
The fastest gun in the West. That's right. Is a magnet for trouble.
Why'd you have to show up?
Rory Calhoun is the Texan. Scared? Every Thursday night on Grid Extra.
Dreaming of changing the world is one thing. Building the community to actually do it, that's real. Sometimes we need to come together to elevate higher. Introducing Bounce Community, a new bond between Bounce and you. Together we celebrate, engage, and empower. Together through partnership outreach, each month we'll spotlight people making impactful change, giving back, spreading love, elevating the community. Bounce Community. To get started, go to bouncetv.com/community.
Together.
Juntos.
Together.
We stand up to cancer.
On Saturday, August 19th, join Stand Up to Cancer for all the inspiration.
Together, we can stand up for our family and friends and everyone who is battling this disease.
Celebrating all the progress and innovation.
So just stand up with us.
One night to save lives. Join the millions in the fight against cancer.
Stand Up to Cancer, Saturday, August 19th at 8, 7 Central on Scripps News.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Judge Ashley Wilcott. Thank you for joining us this Monday. A former death row inmate is on trial for the second time following murders of his wife and an alleged hitman. Back in 2017, a jury convicted Thomas Randolph of killing Sharon Randolph, his wife, and their handyman pictured on the screen, Michael Miller. However, Randolph's conviction was overturned due to prior bad act evidence being admitted in the course of that first trial. So let's get you back into the courtroom. Testifying now by webcam. Can't wait to see this. Elizabeth Lavador, the defendant's former girlfriend.
Okay, we can't hear you. I think your microphone is muted. No, it's not. Well, we can't hear you. Yeah, we can see that you're speaking, but we can't hear you.
She's still there. That's right. I was.
No, ma'am.
Does she have a mic on her computer?
Do you have a microphone on your computer? Sometimes the camera and the microphone are different, so you may have to log into your computer settings to activate the microphone.
The only other thing I could suggest is I could call her and put my phone on speaker because I was able to call her when she was logged into Blue Jeans. I mean, I'd put it on speaker and we could just listen to it that way through the mic.
Doesn't matter to me at all if the jury can hear it.
Do you want me to try it?
You want to try that?
Yeah, Liz, I'm going to try to call you, okay?
We'll just have Mr. Hamner put his phone number on the record, please.
Oh, boy. That's not happening. Liz, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Okay, perfect. Ma'am, if you could raise your right hand so the clerk can swear you in.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. If you could state and spell your name for the record, please.
Can you state and spell your name for us?
Elizabeth Lavador, Elizabeth
Mr. Hammond, whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much. Liz, do you know someone by the name of Thomas Randolph?
Yes, I do.
Where did you first meet Tom?
Years and years ago, I met him on a dating line.
Okay. Where were you living at that time?
Salt Lake City, Utah.
Did you start to date him in Utah?
Yes.
At some point, did you move in with Mr. Randolph?
Yes.
Do you continue to live with him, or does something change in the relationship?
We break up and I move out.
While you dated Mr. Randolph, were there ever any discussions about life insurance?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about who brought up the topic of life insurance while you were dating.
Thomas brought up the topic.
Okay, what did he tell you?
He told me that I should get life insurance for protection of my daughter, and that we would make sure she got some money from it too.
Okay. How were you supposed to pay for the life insurance?
He was going to pay for it and take care of it. I just did a blood test.
Okay, so he offered to pay for the whole thing.
Yes.
About how much life insurance were we talking about?
What I remember is $150,000.
Okay. Who was the beneficiary of the policy?
Half for Thomas Randolph and half for my daughter.
So when you heard Mr. Randolph offering to pay for a life insurance policy under your name, how did you feel about that?
I like the idea of giving some comfort to my daughter.
So you were willing to do it under that context, correct?
Correct.
Who handled all the paperwork?
Thomas.
Okay, so what if anything did you have to do to set any of this up?
A nurse came to our house and took a blood test.
Okay. After, at some point, do you break up with Mr. Randolph when you were living in Utah?
Yes.
Do you move somewhere else?
Yes, I do.
Where do you move to?
I moved to an apartment in Salt Lake.
All right. Do you ever leave the state of Utah?
Yes, I've moved to California.
During the time that you stopped dating Mr. Randolph, does your relationship stay off, or does it kind of go back on and off? What do you remember?
It always went on and off.
All right. Are you familiar with the name Sharon Randolph?
Yes, I am.
And how did you become familiar with Sharon?
She was a lady Thomas met online when we were in a breakup.
Okay. Do you become aware that Mr. Randolph eventually starts dating Sharon and eventually marries Sharon?
Yes, I am.
Do you continue to have a relationship with Mr. Randolph during the course of him dating her and being married to Sharon?
Yes. Yes.
I want to ask you a little bit about contact. While he is married to Sharon, does he ever reach out to you?
Constantly on the phone.
What are we talking about here? What do you mean by that? Constantly?
Several times every day.
Okay. How often during the week would he call?
I don't know, 30, 40 times.
Okay, so almost daily or every couple of days in a week?
Yes.
Was that a one-way street, or did you call him about the same amount? What do you remember about who was calling who?
I did not call him. He called me.
All right. And was your number at the time 8595792?
Yes.
Aside from phone calls, were there other ways that he tried to reach out to you or make contact with you?
He would come, visit,
Okay.
get a phone call from Sharon and go back.
All right. So you remember him literally coming to meet you. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. When he would show up, would he talk about what the status of what he hoped to have happen in his relationship with Sharon in relation to you? What was going on there?
He was leaving her every time he showed up.
Okay. Did he show up just in a car, or did he drive in something else sometimes?
There were cars at times and U-Hauls at times with his stuff.
What times of the year would he show up? Do you remember?
All the time, about once a month, holidays.
Did that include Christmas?
All right, so you heard her right. She had this relationship with the defendant, and then she moved back to Utah. But while he was dating and then married the victim in this case, Sharon, he was still dating this witness. And we're going to hear testimony from the witness about the defendant and how he talked about getting rid of Sharon. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. Court TV Live.
A man married 6 times. 4 of his wives died under mysterious circumstances.
Eccentric widower Thomas Randolph.
Charged with the murders of his wife and the man he allegedly paid to kill her.
A 2017 conviction overturned.
The plan between Mr. Miller and Mr. Randolph was to kill Sharon.
Now he faces a jury once again.
The Widower Murder Trial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
There's gonna be trouble.
Let's have it.
Keep your eyes open.
Pull that trigger.
Well, that's right.
I'll find you and I'll kill you.
Now all I need is a fresh horse, a saddle, and a gun.
Tell you that you were not even gonna believe.
Found your retainer?
I wish.
You keep me coming back from
That's incredible. No, it's genius. I know. Oh, get it. You'll never understand. It's really great. I get it.
You're not getting this at all.
Oh, what are you doing here?
I used to be a phenomenon. Now I'm reduced to a what are you doing here?
You keep me coming back from
I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments. There is so much on the line, so much at stake. But what was this case really about?
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan. Weeknights at 8, 7 Central. Only on Court TV.
For over 100 years, this light has shined. Through generations of Americans, this light carries on.
Reporting from Ukraine, Scripps News.
A beacon of the free American press. Reporting the facts, telling the whole story. This light illuminates, it informs, and now shines even brighter. Scripps News.
Free Movie Channel has something for everyone. With no subscription or rental fees, Free Movie Channel is the quick and easy choice for first-run films, as well as classic movies. Check out Free Movie Channel today and find your new favorite movie.
There's a better way to begin your mornings.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Rush. Thanks so much for being with us.
Context and conversation.
There's a new study that might make you feel a little bit better. Okay, so listen to this.
On the stories that will shape each day.
Here with us now is meteorologist Scott Withers. You got just wait after wait after wait.
So you can get on with yours.
Make sure you stay with us as we monitor this developing story.
Morning Rush. Weekday mornings starting at 7, 6 Central. Only on Scripps News. This is Scripps News.
Welcome to Morning Rush. We have a lot to get to this morning.
A 24-hour news channel. Streaming everywhere. Totally free.
Don't forget to hit up scriptsnews.com for even more ways to watch.
Want to see more? Grab the app on your favorite streaming platform or go to scriptsnews.com to find every way to watch.
Now, an investigation you'll only see here on Scripps News.
Find the news you've been looking for.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Go to scriptsnews.com now and start watching today.
Testimony is underway this afternoon in the double murder retrial for Thomas Randolph. This is a 68-year-old accused of hiring a hitman to kill his wife and then allegedly killing the hitman after he says he walked in on the shooting. There he is reenacting what he says happened. Now, he was initially found guilty and sentenced to death for the crimes, but a higher court later found that prior bad act evidence should not have been admitted the first time around and therefore granted Randolph a new trial. And we're in that new trial. We've been bringing it to you on Court TV, and we want to get you back into the courtroom because right now the jury is listening to Elizabeth Lavador. This is the defendant's former girlfriend, but she remained a girlfriend during the time he dated and then married Sharon, the victim in this case. Let's see what else she has to tell.
It's a Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Did he ever leave you like cards or greeting, like love cards or anything like that?
Greeting cards were constant.
So at some point, how do you feel about this back and forth between him going to Sharon and coming to you? How did you start to feel about it?
I got very tired of it and told him it's not going to work anymore for me. He needs to make a decision.
Okay, so you give him an ultimatum.
Yes.
Around when did this happen? When was this ultimatum given?
I think around the Valentine's Day visit.
In 2008?
Yes.
Okay, so a couple of months before Sharon passes away.
Yes.
When you gave him that ultimatum of, look, you really just need to decide, what was his response to you?
He said he was going to go out and deal with Sharon so we could be together.
No further questions for this witness.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
I guess it's actually good afternoon at this point.
Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Question. When Sharon died, did anyone from law enforcement in Las Vegas contact you?
No.
Silly question, but given that no one contacted you, you wouldn't expect there to be a recorded statement that you ever gave to law enforcement, right?
Right.
Okay. You talked to Tommy, and you called him Tommy, right?
I did.
And almost everybody called you Lizzie, right?
Yes.
Okay. In those conversations with Tommy, did he let you know that he had not kept you a secret from Sharon?
Yes.
And in fact, you've actually talked to Sharon before, right?
Once, yes.
Okay. Sharon was aware of you and you were aware of Sharon. Is that true?
That's true.
Okay. You mentioned this incident with life insurance. That was, do you remember the time frame when that life insurance was purchased?
We probably known each other a year and a half.
Okay. What year did you meet?
Not clear on dates.
Okay. So you'd been in a dating relationship for a year and a half, right?
Yeah. Right.
And you had talked about being together forever, right?
Right.
And that's all before Sharon, correct?
Correct.
And you and Tommy would have intense periods of getting along, right?
Yes, we would.
And then you'd have intense periods of not getting along, correct?
Yes, we would.
Okay. Knowing Tommy like you do, you know he kind of doesn't have a filter, right? You know what I mean?
Oh,
You know what I
right.
mean? You know what I mean by that?
Oh, yeah.
He kind of says what's on his mind, right?
Yes, he does.
And he's not bashful about using, like, for instance, 4-letter words, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. He never hid that from you or tried to act like someone who didn't swear or anything other than what he is, right?
Yes.
Okay. The purchase of life insurance by yourself was before Sharon was in the picture, right?
Right.
And in fact, there was a policy in place for a period of time, correct?
Yes, it was.
And you consented to getting that policy, correct?
Yes, we went to the office together.
Right. I mean, my question's not clear. Tommy didn't make you do that, correct?
Correct.
You guys were talking about being together forever, right?
Right.
And you talked about getting life insurance so that the people you care about could be protected if God forbid something happened to you, right?
Yes.
Okay. Super silly question, but you never got killed when you had that life insurance, did you?
No, I didn't.
When you and Tommy split up, that life insurance was let to lapse, right?
I have no idea. I was never a part of it.
Okay. So you haven't continued to pay the premiums, correct?
I never paid a premium.
Right. You haven't continued to pay the premiums after you and Tommy split up, right?
No.
Okay.
Right.
And you knew you were getting that life insurance, correct?
Correct.
You had to provide information on like a health questionnaire, a background about your health and your genetic history.
All right, I want to bring back in Jack Rice, Josh Schiffer before we hit the top of the hour. And gentlemen, one of the things we were talking about earlier in terms of the jury finding this guy as a criminal now, a criminal before criminal now. What about the fact that, it's clear he was having an affair with this woman and saying, "Oh, I'll take care of Sharon so I can be with you," the whole time he met Sharon and married Sharon. I just think it's a bad taste in the mouth of the jurors. Jack, you first, please. I got you, Josh. Jack. Josh.
This is all me. I was gonna do some dancing because that's exactly what the prosecutor was doing. This is the dance. It's telling the jury all the stuff you really, 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 really want them to know. But you can't go out and just tell them. And when you are tarring someone by talking about all these unexplained things, it is this dance because everyone that's in the know knows what you're getting towards, and you're trying to communicate that with a jury to a jury without clearly violating the judge's orders. And it's a really difficult dance, but it's important. And you're right. I think that the jury just watched that carefully constructed, crafted, and curated line of questions, knew that there was something that the state was going after, and I don't know if it landed the way that the prosecutor wanted.
I don't know that it did either, but what do you think, Jack? And if we were all at dinner together, we'd all be talking at the same time about this point. So, Jack, it's your turn.
It's so true, right? There's no question we'd be sitting around a table doing exactly this because we're sort of geeky at it. This is the truth. I mean, this is the prosecutor trying to slide in a piece of evidence that may very well not be admissible. And it really is sort of this prior bad act. And you're coming back to the idea of once a criminal, always criminal. It's sort of like once a cheater, what else do cheaters do? This idea of bringing in bad former acts, but I don't think it landed either. And frankly, the defense was able to come back and say, well, hold on a second. All of these terrible things that go to potential motive didn't apply in your case either, did they? So their counterpunch in this case was actually probably more effective than the prosecution's. And this always comes back to one simple question. When you're going to put somebody on the stand, what do I get versus what do I give? And you have to contemplate that before you make that decision.
And, I'm just looking at some of the testimony. We have a field team and we've gotten phenomenal notes. So I'm jotting notes. I'm reading what they have to say. And he did say direct examination made very clear. She testified. He said he'd get rid of Sharon so we could be together. I mean, he says that. So is that enough, Josh, for a jury?
I don't know. As someone who has recently gotten into the dating universe, you can interpret statements like that a million different ways. I'm going to get rid of could easily be, man, I'm done with dating them. I'm ready to move on. Or it could be, hey, let's murder someone. It all depends on that context and the contextualizing. And that's what you're seeing these lawyers try to do is contextualize this guy into a mass murderer.
All right, now I've got to cut you off, but perfect timing before we hear more about all the stories that we like to tell. Just kidding. All right, we have to take a break. Michael Ayala is joining me next as we hear more live testimony from the defendant's ex-girlfriend. Stay tuned.
You budget. You pay bills.
Yet somehow women like you
like me, are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to save ourselves by setting a goal to save 2% more of our income for our retirement.
Why 2?
1% honors you.
And 1% honors all womankind.
So come on, learn more about the 2% challenge at WeSaySaveIt.org.
I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments. There is so much on the line, so much at stake. Well, what was this case really about?
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan. Weeknights at 8, 7 Central. Only on Court TV.
These are the cases that captivated the world.
Can keep my life straight.
That demanded our attention.
They were killed by their own children.
That challenged the legal system and ourselves.
How in the world can a mother wait 30 days before reporting her child missing?
These are the trials that became legendary. And now you can relive them all in one place. Court TV Legendary Trials. Go to courttv.com/legendary trials to find out how to watch.
Let the games begin.
Ooh, that sounds wonderful.
Now you talking like you got some sense.
Let's get some order now, okay?
Line it up, baby.
Sorry I'm late. Looking this good doesn't happen by accident.
There are people like us that want to reach out to you and send you that love.
Hey, family!
You got to get my dance on.
I'm coming back to this show. Isn't this just fabulous?
Dreaming of changing the world is one thing. Building the community to actually do it, that's real. Sometimes we need to come together to elevate higher. Introducing Bounce Community, a new bond between Bounce and you. Together we celebrate, engage, and empower. Together the partnership outreach. Each month we'll spotlight people making impactful change, giving back, spreading love, elevating the community. Bounce Community. To get started, go to bouncetv.com/community.
Together.
Juntos.
Together.
We stand up to cancer. On Saturday, August 19th, join Stand Up to Cancer for all the inspiration.
Together, we can stand up for our family and friends and everyone who is battling this disease.
Celebrating all the progress and innovation.
So just stand up with us.
One night to save lives. Join the millions in the fight against cancer.
Stand Up to Cancer, Saturday, August 19th at 8, 7 Central on Scripps News.
Every day on Court TV.
Get ready, folks. We've got a lot to get to.
Witness the raw emotion.
She didn't need to die that night.
I just snapped.
The outburst.
This is ridiculous. Don't get brazen with me.
The life or death drama.
I just killed a man.
Live inside the courtroom.
I could have said that I was guilty a long time ago.
Every trial, every verdict, every single day. Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Let's meet our final contestant.
Name's Antenna, digital antenna. I can offer you live sports, news, weather, and your favorite shows for free.
Say no more. I'm picking Antenna.
For viewers at home, save money and watch TV for free.
Said, what did you do to my mother? What did he say? He said, Michael shot and killed your mother. And then he just hung up on me. I was just completely repulsed by him. And how dare he even still play like he's innocent. I'm really worried because he's an evil man. And if he does get out, he'll find another victim. Number 7. He will. No doubt in my mind.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ashley Wilcox.
And I'm Michael Ayala, and we're both here today giving you your front row seat to justice. We turn back to Nevada, where the jury has been hearing from Thomas Randolph's ex-girlfriend. Now, Randolph claims he shot and killed a robber who killed his wife. The robber, however, is Randolph's handyman, allegedly hired
as a hitman.
And now we want to take you back inside the courtroom. There's been some really interesting testimony today. And right now, let's just sum up where we are with Elizabeth Lavador. This is the defendant's former girlfriend. But I must point out, defendant's former girlfriend, then she moves back to Utah. He starts dating Susan. He marries Susan, the victim in this case, all while keeping Elizabeth on the side as his girlfriend. So let's go back into court for more testimony.
I'm not sure. I would think so.
You actually provided a blood test, right?
Yes, I did.
And you did that voluntarily, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Of course, Mom.
I have nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Yes. Liz, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. So you remember when the defense counsel asked you the question about, oh, this life insurance policy, maybe it's taken out maybe about 1.5 years of you guys dating. Do you remember that kind of at the beginning of Cross?
Yes.
Okay. Just to be clear, you weren't married when he's taking out a life insurance policy, correct?
Never been married, yes.
Okay. Did you have a lot of boyfriends in your life that took out life insurance policies out on you while dating?
Never.
Okay. The next question is, do you remember when defense counsel asked you, so when you purchased the life insurance policy, the purchase of the life insurance policy by yourself, do you remember that being phrased to you on cross-examination?
Yes, I remember.
Just to be clear, did you ever pay a single dime for the life insurance policy?
No, I did not.
Who is the person that provided every payment of premiums on that life insurance policy?
Tom had the paperwork and made the payments.
You were asked a question on cross-examination. Just to be clear, he never made you do this. Do you remember that question on cross?
Yes, I did.
Whose idea was it to even do this?
It was Thomas's idea.
And why did he say to suggest to you that this would be a good idea?
He said, everybody gets them, and your daughter needs protection.
Okay, so he mentioned the fact that you should protect your daughter, correct?
Correct.
But he would get a 50% cut.
Yes.
You were asked a question, oh, I know this is a silly question. You didn't get killed after your life insurance policy. Do you remember that question?
Yes, I do.
Okay, here's another silly question. You moved out, right?
Yes.
No further questions. Liz, thank you very much.
Hold on.
Oh, so sorry. Oh, I thought he said, I'm done. Sorry. I'll leave the phone.
And we set up the jury.
He's jumping ahead, Your Honor.
Where? He's gone.
You still there? Lizzie?
Yeah.
Sorry. Mr. Hamner was trying to get rid of you before I was done asking you questions. Just got a couple, okay?
Okay.
You never married Thomas Randolph, right?
Correct.
You were engaged to him, however, right?
Yes.
And you had talked about spending the rest of your life with him, correct?
Correct.
And that relationship didn't work out, right?
Right.
At the time you guys broke up, he did have life insurance that he was paying a premium for on you, right?
I don't know. I had no paperwork. I didn't ever see anything.
You were aware that life insurance was purchased, correct?
Purchased, yes.
And you agreed with that, correct?
Correct.
And if Tommy Randolph wanted to keep paying life insurance to profit from something bad to happen to you, he could have done that, right?
Right.
Okay. As far as you know, when you weren't going to spend the rest of your life together, there wasn't life insurance anymore, as far as you know, correct?
I don't know.
Okay. Nothing further.
Briefly based off of that. So you remember those questions about you're not sure as to whether or not the premiums existed, correct? After you moved out, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So just to be clear, none of the paperwork came to your house, is that right?
That's right.
So you're not sure if he continued to pay the premiums?
That's right.
Okay. There was a lot of talk about, the split up. Just to be clear, you continued to date him on and off during your marriage, during his marriage to Sharon, is that right?
Yes.
And after Sharon passes away, does he come back to visit you?
Yes, he does.
Does he come back to try to rekindle the relationship, or at least come back and say, let you know what had happened, but with the intention to continue to date?
He came back to tell me what happened,
Okay,
and we never got to any other conversation.
understood. No further questions.
When he came and told you what had happened in Las Vegas, he was really torn up about it, wasn't he?
I don't know how to weigh that.
He was very distraught, wasn't he?
He was somewhat distraught.
Okay. You remember he didn't come running to you and saying, she's gone, I can be in your life forever, correct?
Correct.
He was very upset that Sharon had been killed, correct?
I'm not sure how to answer that.
Okay, I think you just did. You told us he was distraught, didn't you?
He was kind of distraught.
Okay.
Any follow-ups, Mr. Chairman?
No.
Do the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have any questions for this witness? Okay, seeing no response, ma'am, you are excused. Thank you very much for your testimony here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
May I?
Yes. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take our lunch recess at this time. During this recess, you must not discuss or communicate with anyone, including fellow jurors.
All right, Michael, we're going to bring in our guest. But first, I must say this. It's like we say it here and it comes out there, because during that cross-examination, my thought was, well, then why don't you say to her, well, you're not dead, are you? And that's exactly what they did. I think it took the sting away, rather, from the fact that he'd purchased life insurance on his girlfriend.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is a witness that I think could go either way. Right? Because at the end of the day, as you said, there was a life insurance policy, but it didn't kill her, right? But at the same side, it also is a little bit of the prosecution getting some of that MO evidence. The fact that this is something he likes to do with his partners. And that's, again, the jury can look at it and say, oh, it's just something he likes to do with his partners, because again, she did not end up dead. So yeah, you have to weigh those types of things.
Yeah, where does it land? And that MO evidence, I think, might potentially get the prosecution in trouble for appellate purposes. Maybe not, but prior bad acts aren't supposed to come in. So let's bring in, still with us this hour, criminal defense attorneys Jack Rice and Josh Schiffer. Let me start with you, Jack, and your thoughts about that testimony.
Yeah, this is the problem that we're seeing, is that it's a little bit good and a little bit bad from the prosecution standpoint. But if we think about how you build a case, whether you're prosecution or defense, it's a wall that you're building out of individual bricks, individual witnesses. And so you're always trying to balance. You're always trying to calculate. You're always trying to add them up and say, is this a net positive for my case or a net negative? And what is the risk of putting somebody on like this? In some ways, the defense was able to take advantage of that risk and pull some of the sting, which can be a problem. But remember, juries want to see motive. Why would somebody do such a horrible, horrific thing? And they really want to see it because from their perspective, they want this to make sense if they're going to find somebody guilty of murder.
Hey, Jack and Josh, great to see you guys. Thanks for joining us here on the show. And Josh, I'll go to you. And you know, the prosecution is in a difficult situation. In the previous trial, of course, they very simply could show this other modus operandi, and they got a conviction. It was so similar. Again, an appeals court thought it was too similar, and that could have led to the conviction. But here, they have to take a little bit of a different tack. And it seems to me, the direction that they're going is they're basically bringing in a lot of people to say, I didn't like him. I had a bad feeling from him. I told her that I thought he might kill you. Just a lot of weird things. And I'm not sure how much of an effect that's going to have on this jury. These things happen all the time. I thought the defense has done a great job sort of in each instance bringing out the fact you didn't like him from the very beginning, didn't you? And then that kind of colors everything you hear from that particular witness. Your thoughts on that aspect?
You're 100% on point with that. Each of these witnesses are swingers. You can get something on both sides. And when both sides of the aisle can get something from a swinger witness, it's hard to determine where the trial's really going to go at the end of the day because the jury can take from both sides. And it's wonderful for telling a holistic story because it really seems more inclusive that you're getting more answers when witnesses are obviously not one side dominated or have that possibility to swing back and forth. But it makes it really hard for the state to put forth a strong, clear, cohesive theme. And it gives benefits to the defense when they want to step back and say, hey, listen, a lot of different things could have happened. Remember, jury, if one thing, one pathway hasn't been proven beyond a reasonable doubt, the judge is going to instruct you to acquit. And that's where the danger really lies. The state's doing a great job tarring and feathering the defendant with what it's allowed to bring up, but it's obviously limited, and that hamstringing is keeping the full story from coming out.
Yeah, and Judge, what's interesting as well is no matter how many people you bring in to talk about this, at the end of the day, the defense also has a feather in their cap in the fact that the victim in this case basically went along with a lot of this. And at the end of the day, it's her opinion that matters. And she's an adult and she went along. Now they're trying to paint him as a manipulator. But at the end of the day, she thought it was okay to, you know, shop for urns or get the life insurance or do the different things that they're trying to suggest were problematic.
Right. And I know people who do feel like that's
I
okay, that they
agree.
prepare for their afterlife,
Yes.
so to speak. It's not that uncommon, really. So, you know, one other thing stood out to me. We did the redirect, the recross, the redirect, the recross. So here's where it ended, gentlemen, was, you know, they asked, was he distraught? When he came to see you after Sharon was deceased, was he distraught? Somewhat distraught. And then they say, he didn't come running over and say, I can be in your life forever, did he? And she says, correct. Although that's what he'd been saying he wanted. Does that mean anything? Are we getting too deep in the weeds, Josh?
You know, you always run that risk of mining so much that you're just kind of finding stuff. If you look for nails, you're going to find them as a hammer. So you can also say it's the confirmation, and there's 8 million different ways to say that. So yeah, it's a big risk, and a great defense is going to remind a jury of the risks of following the easy path and how easy isn't right when you're making decisions related to these kinds of allegations. This isn't a parking ticket. This is murder. This is really heavy duty stuff. And you're not gonna want juries to even consider taking the easy path as opposed to a more difficult but honest fidelity to the instructions given by the judge.
Yeah, and Judge, you know what's interesting? It's, you know, guys who have girls on the side, it's not that uncommon.
No.
I would imagine there's a couple of jurors in there who know someone who has a wife, and maybe somebody on the side may run there when they're angry. This is not uncommon. Doesn't make him a murderer, doesn't make him a bad guy at the end of the day, without the context that we know about this guy.
It doesn't mean much.
So without that information, which this jury does not have, not sure how much it means.
And add to that, there are a lot of women doing the same thing. So you may have a female juror that's familiar
I'm looking
with
at
it.
Lizzie saying it takes two to tango.
Yeah, I
He's
agree.
one into her, but she's taking him in.
Yep.
All right.
I
All right.
agree.
All right, folks, coming up. Since court is taking a big break, we're going to pivot to Iowa and the sleepover kidnapping murder trial. As the mother of the 10-year-old victim in the case takes the stand, this is Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, an in-depth look at people accused of plotting to kill their spouses. Lindsay Shiver, California Judge Jeffrey Ferguson, and more. We'll bring in experts to weigh in on these cases of romance turned deadly. Plus, on the docket, a father and son accused of shooting at a FedEx driver are set to stand trial for attempted murder. We'll bring you the details before this trial gets underway.
Closing Arguments tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
The fastest gun in the West.
That's right.
Is a magnet for trouble.
Why'd you have to show up?
Rory Calhoun is the Texan.
Scared?
Every Thursday night on Grid Extra.
You budget. You pay bills.
Yet somehow, women like you, like me,
are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to save ourselves by setting a goal to save 2% more of our income for our retirement.
Why 2? 1% honors you.
And 1% honors all womankind.
So come on. Learn more about the 2% challenge at wesaysaveit.org.
The WNBA is on Ion.
Wow.
Every Friday, the push to the playoffs continues.
I can't see nobody stopping me.
This week, Kalia leads the Sky into the ATL in a must-win against Ryan and the Dream. Then we're off to Phoenix as the Mercury take on Brianna and the Liberty. Sky, Dream, followed by Liberty, Mercury. Coverage starts Friday night at 7:30. Check local listings for games in your area. Only on Ion.
Free Movie Channel has something for everyone. With no subscription or rental fees, Free Movie Channel is the quick and easy choice for first-run films, as well as classic movies. Check out Free Movie Channel today and find your new favorite movie.
The drama of a courtroom is like no other drama anywhere.
I just started firing.
You get involved with the trial through Court TV. You become a part of the process.
This is the world that the defense invites you to occupy.
Something about the defendant, or something about the lawyers, even the judge. The stakes could not be higher.
Your life is not on the line. Mine is.
We made America stop and watch true crime.
Welcome back. Today, Ava's looking to love watching TV again. Let's meet our final contestant.
Name's Antenna, digital antenna. I can offer you live sports, news, weather, and your favorite shows for free.
You sound too good to be true.
And no subscriptions, no contracts, or monthly fees.
Say no more. I'm picking Antenna.
For viewers at home, save money and watch TV for free. Find your perfect antenna at thefreetvproject.org.
There's no be trouble.
Let's have it. Keep your eyes open.
Pull that trigger.
Oh, that's right.
I'll find you and I'll kill you. Now all I need is a fresh horse, a saddle, and a gun.
Every day on Court TV.
Get ready, folks. We've got a lot to get to.
Witness the raw emotion,
She didn't need to die that night.
I just snapped.
the outbursts,
This is ridiculous.
Don't get
brazen with me.
the life or death drama.
I just killed a man.
Live inside the courtroom.
I could have said that I was guilty a long time ago.
Every trial, every verdict, every single day. Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Turning now to Iowa and the bench trial for defendant and registered sex offender Henry Dinkins. Dinkins is charged with first-degree murder and kidnapping after 10-year-old Priasia Terrell disappeared while spending the night at his home back in July of 2020.
Now, if convicted, the 51-year-old faces life in prison without the possibility of parole. Here's Court TV legal correspondent Julia Janae with a look at the facts of the case.
For 9 months, Iowa communities searched for missing 10-year-old Breasia Terrell. Her smiling face featured on FBI posters nationwide. The last people to see her alive on July 10th, 2020 were inside this apartment complex that Breasia had only visited one time. Breasia and her 8-year-old little brother were spending the night with her brother's biological father, Henry Dinkins, and Dinkins' girlfriend. The next morning after the sleepover, Dinkins called Breasia's mother and told her her daughter was nowhere to be found.
Friends and total strangers are helping the family of Breasia Terrell search for the missing 10-year-old.
The search for Breasia grabbed headlines. Local station WQAD8 called her a, quote, budding TikTok entertainer after the child's mother shared with them these videos.
Okay, Mom. Is it pretty now?
Dinkins was placed behind bars on unrelated probation charges. He provided no further details about Breasia's possible whereabouts, even when confronted by the child's mother.
Supposedly, he woke up and Bree was nowhere to be found.
She has been supportive and cooperative with our investigators this entire time. We cannot imagine the grief and pain she must experience.
Then in March of 2021, a tragic discovery by fishing buddies at a pond in a wooded area leads to a break in the case.
We have received confirmation that the remains are those of Breasia Terrell.
The location, a 30-minute drive away from where Breasia had been sleeping, a location investigators believe Henry Dinkins drove to overnight with her body. He's charged with kidnapping and first-degree murder.
With premeditation, malice aforethought, and intent to kill BT, shot her with a firearm, causing her death.
Now, Dinkins' murder trial is going forward, not in front of a jury, but a judge only, after Dinkins, who pleaded not guilty, also waived his right to a jury of his peers.
Let's take you into court earlier today as Aisha Langford was called to the stand. This is Breasia's mother.
Call on July 10th from Mr. Dinkins at 8:08 a.m. If you could, I'd like to reference you back to State's Exhibit 96-1. Do you have that before you?
No, I don't. I just have the schedule. Yeah, just go sit down.
Now, on page 4 of State's Exhibit 96-1, toward the bottom, do you see that first call that would have come in from Mr. Dinkins on July 10th at 8:08 a.m. in the morning?
Yes.
What was the duration of that call?
0 seconds.
All right. From that point moving forward then, is there a number of telephone calls that appear on page 4 and going into page 5 of your call record?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Your Honor, may we publish this?
You may.
All right. How many calls after the unanswered call at 8:08 do we see on this particular page?
On this particular page, I see 3 after that 8:08 call.
Okay. All right. Who is the calling number in that left column?
That's actually my number.
All right. And then what number are you calling?
I'm calling Dinkins number, the 726-4 44078.
Does this document show that those are all outbound calls from your number to Mr. Dinkins' number?
Yes, ma'am.
And then do all of those outbound calls on this page after that 8:08 time frame all occur on July 10th?
Yes, ma'am.
If you could then articulate for our record the 3 successive outbound calls that you made and the duration associated with that. So just give us times and then the time that the call lasted.
All right, so I have 8:09 a.m., 34 seconds. I have 8:10 at 34 seconds and 8:10 again at just 24 seconds.
In those 3 outbound calls that you made, do you know if you were able to connect with Henry Dinkins, or are you just simply calling over and over and over trying to make the connect?
I was trying to make a connect.
All right, let's go to our next page. How many highlighted calls then appear on our next page, which I'm going to identify as page 5 of States Exhibit 96-1, and that would simply be the highlighted calls. How many are we seeing here?
We're seeing 6.
Okay. Now let's go back and let's repeat that process if we could.
The process of times.
Yes. For those 6 calls, who's the calling number in the very first entry?
That's my call. I was calling out to Henry.
What's the time then that you placed that call to Mr. Dinkins?
It was at 8:11 a.m.
The duration of that call?
0 seconds.
Did he answer?
No, he didn't.
The next entry, what's the calling number?
The calling number is the 563-726-4078.
Mr. Dinkins' number?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And then what time is that call coming into your phone?
It looks about like 8:11.
All right. If you were to give us the seconds, your call at 8:11 would be what? 8:11 and what? How many seconds?
120 seconds, that second call.
Oh, yeah, no, let me make this clear, just so that we understand the time elapsed. Got it? Okay, all right. So for your call, give us the seconds on that call. What time did you make it?
I made it at 8:13 a.m. that morning. 8:13, 39 seconds or something like that.
Is that 8:11-13 seconds?
I'm not exactly sure what you're looking at.
The very first entry.
Oh, the very first one. It's 0 seconds for the very first one because that was the call outbound. The inbound call was at 8:11 a.m. and 8:13. Well, hold on. The end call was at 8:13, it looks like.
Okay, how long did that call last?
That lasted me about 2 minutes.
All right, now let's go to our third call. Who's making that call?
I'm making that call to Mr. Dinkins again.
And then what time do you place that call?
I placed that call in at 8:15.
8:15 or 8:17?
That's 8:15 here. That's the end cost. It's the end date. So am I looking at the end date or am I looking at the start date? I'm a little confused.
It may be that I didn't highlight one. All right, so give us the next call. Who's making that one?
Myself again, back to Dinkins.
Okay, and what's our time?
That is 8:18.
Yes, that's what I want.
So the end date time, okay.
All right, give me those times.
Okay, so.
All right, so our third entry.
Third entry was at 8:17.
Okay, who's making that call?
I'm making that call to Dinkins.
Okay, our next highlighted call. Who's making that call?
That's myself again, reaching back out to Dinkins.
At what time?
At 8:19.
All right, and then our next entry.
The next entry is me calling Mr. Dinkins again at about 8:26.
And then our final entry.
That final entry, that was me calling the police. It looks like 326-7979 at 8:35 a.m.
All right. And what is the telephone number that's reflected for when you called the police department?
The police department number or mine? Oh, 563-326-7979.
As we look at the duration of those calls, did you have some conversations with Mr. Dinkins in that series of successive calls?
Yes, as to where she might have been and what was actually going on and where was he.
Okay.
All right. Now, this was hours after, according to him, this girl went missing. He didn't call her until 8:08 a.m., Michael. So,
And didn't make contact until 2-3 minutes later. Not a lot of conversation going on between
yeah,
the two of them.
well, her daughter's
Yeah.
missing. All right. We're going to have more of the mom's testimony right on the other side of the break. Stay tuned.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, an in-depth look at people accused of plotting to kill their spouses. Lindsay Shiver, California Judge Jeffrey Ferguson, and more. We'll bring in experts to weigh in on these cases of romance turned deadly. Plus, on the docket, father and son shooting at a FedEx driver are set to stand trial for attempted murder. We'll bring you the details before this trial gets underway.
Closing Arguments tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
The drama of a courtroom is like no other drama anywhere.
I just started firing.
You get involved with the trial through Court TV. You become a part of the process.
This is the world that the defense invites you to occupy.
Something about the defendant or something about the lawyers, even the judge. The stakes could not be higher.
Your life is not on the line. Mine is.
We made America stop and watch true crime.
Dreaming of changing the world is one thing. Building the community to actually do it, that's real. Sometimes we need to come together to elevate higher. Introducing Bounce Community, a new bond between Bounce and you. Together we celebrate, engage, and empower. Together through partnership outreach. Each month we'll spotlight people making impactful change, giving back, spreading love, elevating the community. Bounce Community. To get started, go to bouncetv.com/community.
Free Movie Channel has something for everyone. Whether you're looking for a laugh, some tears, chilling scares, or something for the whole family, Free Movie Channel has got you covered. With no subscription or rental fees, Free Movie Channel is the quick and easy choice for first-run films, as well as classic movies that you can watch wherever you want, whenever you need a break. It's always free and it's always fun. Check out Free Movie Channel today and find your new favorite movie.
Saturday on Laugh More, it's CHIPS. The California Highway Patrol. It should stand for
Think about this.
car chases,
Get out of the way.
high-flying action, idiotic,
Can we get a to-go box? It's for your shirt so you can eat it later.
painful, stunts,
It was like being inside of a corpse.
CHIPS. Saturday night, 7/6 Central on Laugh More.
Jodi Arias, the obsessed ex-girlfriend accused of brutally killing her former boyfriend.
You're the one that did this, right?
Yes.
Is it jealous rage or self-defense?
Travis flipped out.
The high-profile trial that had a little bit of everything.
You have feelings for the defendant, right?
I beg your pardon, sir.
Relive the case that captivated the nation.
And made the name Jodi Arias unforgettable.
The trial of Jodi Arias. Weekdays 8 to noon on Court TV Legendary Trials.
I have the most amazing thing to tell you that you're not even gonna believe.
Found your retainer?
I wish.
You keep me coming back for more.
That's incredible. No, it's genius. I know. Oh, forget it. You'll never understand.
Keep me coming back for more.
It's really great. I get it.
You're not getting this at all.
Alf, what are you doing here?
I used to be a phenomenon. Now I'm reduced to a what are you doing here?
You keep me coming back for more.
Hello, welcome back to Court TV Live. Michael Ayala here with Judge Ashley Wilkin. I want to get you back in court now. In the case of Henry Earl Dinkins. Now, this is really an ugly case at the end of the day. This is a man who was 48 years old. He's charged with killing a 10-year-old girl who came over to his house. He had a son with the same woman who had this daughter. This daughter didn't belong to him. She came over to spend the night, was hanging out at the house. Eventually, he took her out of the house. This we know at some point in the morning, never returned with her. Now he is charged with her murder. Her body was found about a year later in a nearby, I guess, what would you call where she
By a
was found?
pond?
By
There
a
were three
pond
fishermen.
nearby. And they did have a witness that placed him at that place having some trouble with his car. So a lot of evidence against this man. On the stand right now is Aisha Langford. She's Breasia's mom, also the mother of his son as well. Again, they did not live together. She's on the stand now on direct examination.
Mr. Dinkins was at. What was he communicating to you about his location and what he was doing?
He wasn't necessarily communicating anything. He said that he was out looking for her and he was going to make a police report.
Okay. When you spoke with Mr. Dinkins, did it become clear to you that he had not yet reported Breasia as missing?
Yes.
Did you question him as to why he would not have reported Breasia missing?
I don't recall.
Okay, and that's all right. Now let's go back to State's Exhibit 96.2. And then I'll go ahead and hand this to you again. And then what I want to focus on is the communications then that occurred between yourself and Mr. Dinkins on July 10th. And what is going on in text messages. All right, so on page 2, starting
with July 10th at 8:08.
Right.
That was a call me.
Who made that or who sent that text?
Mr. Dinkins.
Okay, from there then.
And from there,
do we go to our first page?
I tried to call him several times and he didn't answer. So then I sent a text message and I just said, just call me. I'm not about to play telephone.
What time is that text?
It looks like 8:11 a.m.
Okay, and then your next communication with Mr. Dinkins?
It was at 11:07 a.m.
Who's sending the text?
That was me.
What are you saying?
I'm asking him, where is he?
All right, and then your next communication with Mr. Dinkins?
Was again at 12:03 p.m.
Who's sending that text?
Mr. Dinkins stating that he was downtown.
All right. And then does that include all of the text messages that you had with Mr. Dinkins?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to redirect your attention to States Exhibit 95-1 and 95-2. For purposes of the record, what is this exhibit?
A work schedule from work.
Okay. Does this set forth your work schedule for July 9th and July 10th?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Now, on States Exhibit 95-1, does it indicate what had been your scheduled shift before changes were made?
Yes, ma'am.
And then going into 95.2, does it actually show the hours that you would have worked on July 9th and July 10th?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move to introduce States Exhibit 95-1 and 95-2.
No objection. Those exhibits will be admitted.
Okay. On States Exhibit 95-1, in that left-hand column, what kind of information is contained in that left-hand column?
That's the names of the employees.
Does your name appear in that list of employees for a work schedule?
Yes, it does.
What is the date range for this particular work schedule?
It's from July 7th, 2020 to July 13th, 2020 for the week.
Is there a column set forth for your scheduled shift, your original scheduled shift for Thursday, July 9th of 2020?
Yes, there is.
What were you to work on July 9th of 2020?
I was to work 10:30 a.m. until 5 p.m.
And then is there a column for what was your original work schedule for July 10th?
It was for 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
All right, going to States Exhibit 95-2 then, for July 9th of 2020, does it set forth the times that you would have clocked in and clocked out?
Yes.
Okay, what time did you initially clock in on July 9th?
I clocked in originally at 10:39 a.m.
What time did you clock out?
I clocked out at 12:59 p.m.
Did you have a lunch break at that point in time?
Yes, I did.
And then what time did you clock in after your lunch break?
I clocked back in at 1:33 p.m.
And then what time did you clock out on July 9th of 2020?
I clocked out at 5:07.
Okay. And then so from that, did your trip over to the apartment complex occur within, an hour or so later?
Yes.
Okay. Now on July 10th, what does it show as a time that you actually clocked in at?
It says that I clocked in at 8:04 a.m.
What time did you clock out?
I clocked out at 8:16 a.m.
I want to pick up at the point in time where you described sitting in the back room and you were crying.
Yes.
There at Checkers. What did your manager encourage you to do?
He encouraged me to get into the car and go downtown and figure out what was going on.
By going downtown, what do you mean?
Like going down to the police department.
Did you actually leave Checkers to travel down to the Davenport Police Department?
I did.
All right. When you left Checkers, what direction did you head to go downtown to the Davenport Police Department?
I was heading west, so I was heading away from, so yeah, I think it was west, right?
On what street?
On Locust.
As you were traveling west on Locust, did you notice something of interest to you?
Yes, I did.
Describe.
I noticed Mr. Dinkins Impala flying down the opposite way, making a really hard turn on, I think it's a left turn on Eastern.
Okay. What type of vehicle was he driving?
He was driving in a maroon Impala with tinted windows.
Okay. And then did you pass him when you saw him heading east?
Yes, and
What did you do?
I made a U-turn.
And then at that point in time, describe what you did.
I was speeding behind him, honking the horn. I was calling his phone. And when I finally got him on the phone, he said that he was headed to Jersey Meadows because they wanted to talk to him out there. And I was still on his bumper, honking the horn, and we had pulled over by the McDonald's on Northwest, or it's like Kimberly, East Kimberly, across the street from Walgreens by the Old Kaplan.
All right. How would you describe the rate of speed that Mr. Dinkins was traveling?
Well, I was probably going about 65, 70 possibly, because he was driving really fast.
All right. Going back to States Exhibit 38. Don't say anything just yet. I want you to come down to this exhibit. And then I want you to look at the exhibit in terms of the map of the downtown area. Does it set forth an entry for your employment there at Checkers? And then do you see an entry for the McDonald's where you would have met with Mr. Dinkins? Okay, don't say anything. What I'm going to do is I'll take you back to the stand, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you use a blue magic marker to circle the location of Checkers. Do that, don't say anything. I'll put you back on the stand so that we can get that testimony through the microphone. Then I want you to take this red magic marker and I want you to circle the location of the McDonald's that you're referencing. Go ahead and take your on the stand. My question to you is this. Do you see on States Exhibit 38 the area of Davenport where Checkers is located?
Yes.
Does that reflect Locust Street and the area that you would have traveled when you were heading to the Davenport Police Department?
Yes.
Do you also see an entry for the McDonald's on East Kimberly Road?
Yes.
And does that map reflect Eastern to show what direction he would have traveled on Eastern to get to McDonald's?
Yes.
Okay. Describe what happened then when you got to the area of McDonald's.
All right, so Aisha Langford, the mother of the victim in this case, Breasia Terrell, is on the stand. What we learned, number of phone calls going back and forth. The morning that her daughter Breasia was in the control of the defendant in this case, and supposedly disappeared around 5, doesn't call her till 8. Around 8:16, she ends up going to work, not doing well, wanted to go to the police, and then sees Dinkins speeding down the street.
Yep,
Right?
and then does a U-turn. They pull over in front of the McDonald's. He's flying.
Yeah.
We have to wait and see
We have
what
to
else
see what else we
happens.
have.
Does he
All right.
say anything to her? We don't know yet.
All right, more of that testimony when we come back. Keep it here on Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
I started hearing these stories about murder and stuff.
I'm about to be the biggest drug dealer that you can become.
Oh my God, are they starting a war with me or what?
I'm not gonna lie, it felt good to be a gangster.
She just points the gun out of my face. Just shoots me.
We knew that what we were doing had consequences, but we just didn't care.
Vice on Court TV, tonight at 7/6 Central, only on Court TV.
These are the cases that captivated the world, that demanded our attention,
They were killed by their own children.
that challenged the legal system and ourselves.
How in the world can a mother wait 30 days before reporting her child missing?
These are the trials that became legendary. And now you can relive them all in one place. Court TV Legendary Trials. Go to courttv.com/legendary trials to find out how to watch.
You budget. You pay bills.
Yet somehow, women like you, like me,
Are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to save ourselves by setting a goal to save 2% more of our income for our retirement.
Why 2? 1% honors you.
And 1% honors all womankind.
So come on. Learn more about the 2% challenge at WeSaySaveIt.org.
There's a better way to begin your mornings.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Rush. Thanks so much for being with us.
Context and conversation
There's a new study that might make you feel a little bit better. Okay, so listen to this.
on the stories that will shape each day,
Here with us now is meteorologist Scott Withers. You got just wave after wave after wave.
so you can get on with yours.
Make sure you stay with us as we monitor this developing story.
Morning Rush, weekday mornings starting at 7/6 Central, only on Scripps News.
Together.
Juntos.
Together.
We stand up to cancer.
On Saturday, August 19th, join Stand Up to Cancer for all the inspiration,
Together, we can stand up for our family and friends and everyone who is battling this disease.
celebrating all the progress and innovation.
So just stand up with us.
One night to save lives. Join the millions in the fight against cancer.
Stand Up to Cancer, Saturday, August 19th at 8/7 Central on Scripps News.
Dreaming of changing the world is one thing. Building the community to actually do it, that's real. Sometimes we need to come together to elevate higher. Introducing Bounce Community, a new bond between Bounce and you. Together we celebrate, engage, and empower. Together through partnership outreach, each month we'll spotlight people making impactful change, giving back, spreading love, elevating the community. Bounce Community. To get started, go to bouncetv.com/community.
Do you have an idea for a story you would like to see or a comment on our coverage you want to share? We want to hear from you. Call our Scripps News viewer hotline at 833-4SCRIPPS. That's 833-4SCRIPPS.